Located in New York's Finger Lakes region, the village of Watkins Glen was the birthplace of road racing in America after World War II. 60 years ago, a permanent circuit opened here and has become one of America's most historic tracks. And today, after a 6-year hiatus, IndyCar returns to Watkins Glen. 3.4 miles in length, the Glen is one of the world's longest road courses, as well as one of the fastest. And as it welcomes the stars of IndyCar back, this circuit will play a major impact on the season championship. Points leader Simon Pagenaud has found misfortune here this weekend, while his teammate Will Power, second in points, hopes to turn a front row start into his 5th win in 8 starts. And while pole sitter Scott Dixon is out of the title hunt, last year's series champion looks to win for a 4th time at the Glen. Welcome to IndyCar Live, presented by Verizon, where we set the stage for today's 60-lap race. The weather has been fantastic this weekend, a great respite from the heat throughout the summer. Temperatures in the 70s all weekend, not a cloud in the sky, and fans are ready to see IndyCar back at Watkins Glen this weekend. Hello, thank you for joining us today. I'm Kevin Lee. Just 2 races remain in the IndyCar Championship for 2016, and they're both on road courses. And while there are several still mathematically alive, the title fight is essentially down to 2. Teammates, Simon Pagenaud plus 28 on his teammate Will Power. But for the championship leader Pagenaud, it has been a challenging weekend to some extent. It started in the second practice session on Friday afternoon. In the final minute of practice, Pagenaud finds the tire barrier. And he hasn't been exceptionally quick, just 16th in the practice times combined. Did find some speed in qualifying, but not enough to advance to the top 6. He is going to start 7th, and it looked like Will Power, his teammate, would start next to him, but he was the beneficiary of a penalty on Michael Aloshin, one of 3 penalties in qualifying. So Power advances to the fast 6 and ultimately took advantage to qualify 2nd. Right next to Scott Dixon, the master at Watkins Glen, who won the first 3 events when IndyCar returned in 2005, 6, and 7. Dixon has been fast in every single session this weekend, and he is going to get the chance to start on the pole. Well, Will Power has been the man of the second half of the season. That momentum continues a bit this weekend. He is going to start in front of his teammate Pagenaud 2nd. Well, Pagenaud will start in the 7th position, and it's the type of course that Power loves. He's won 3 of the last 4 non-ovals.
After the tough start to the season, a win here can be a huge psychological lift. Will Power wins it in Detroit.
Good job, boys. It's been a long time.
Detroit and now Road America. Will Power said today, I can win this championship, and he most certainly has taken a big step.
2 in a row here.
It's time to bring the action in Toronto.
Big break for Power. He got to pit road just in time.
Finally, we got a yellow go our way.
Will Power wins on the streets of Toronto.
Great job, guys. Great job.
We're racing at Pocono.
Green.
If you're waiting for Will Power to make a mistake, you're going to be waiting an awful long time.
Twin checkers are out. Will Power goes to victory lane.
Great job in the pits, guys. Great job.
He really is back in this championship fight.
And you just saw there how momentum really seems to be swinging in the way of Will Power right now. And Will, today, starting ahead of Simon Pagenaud, how important is it to keep an eye on him and stay ahead of him today?
Yeah, obviously very important to stay ahead of him. Just very grateful to be in the position I am. It's been a fantastic year, and we're just going to do everything we can to stay ahead of the 22, because we need to kind of narrow that points lead down going into the last race to have a really good shot at it. Full steam ahead, but be smart.
Now, you were going to start 7th, and then due to a penalty, you moved into the Firestone Fast 6. How big is that better starting position here at Watkins Glen?
Yeah, I mean, this track is, it seems as though it's very tough to pass, so a good starting position is definitely going to make a difference. Obviously, strategy comes into that. If yellow falls at the wrong time, it probably doesn't matter, but for us, I think the race is going to be fairly green, and, starting at the front is going to be an advantage.
Jan, he's going for his 5th win of the season today.
He is, and of course, he's mentioned multiple times his teammate and championship rival, Simon Pagenaud. Simon, you just missed the Firestone Fast 6, but you said this morning you improved your car, so you've have improved confidence as well?
Yeah, I think so. It's been, it's the first time we go to Watkins Glen. I've never been here. And I think, it took me a little bit of time to get to grip with the track. It's a very high commitment track, a lot of grip, very different to everywhere we go. So we found something in the morning that really suited my car well and in myself. So I'm very confident for the afternoon. We're going to have to be pretty aggressive, I think, to obviously get the closest we can be to Will and then see what happens next.
Well, they're calling you to be introduced, but quickly, how tough to pass today?
I don't think it's going to be as tough as we think. I think the racing is going to be a lot more exciting than we think. We'll see. You'll see, it drafts pretty good up the S's, so should be an exciting race.
Remember, he's a guy that's already won 3 times on permanent road courses this year, Kevin.
All right, thank you, Jan. Now let's look at the breakdown this season for the 2 teammates that are championship combatants. They're the only drivers with multiple wins this season. Also remember that Will Power has 1 less race. He was dealing with what we thought were concussion-like symptoms, illness, and missed the opener at St. Pete. And Power has been on a roll to get back within range. 2 remaining, 28 separate them, so here's what's at stake today. 10 points separates first and second, 50 on offer, and remember Sonoma is double points, so 100 available plus bonus points. 2 for leading the most laps, 1 for leading a lap, and already Scott Dixon has won a point for winning the pole. Speaking of today's pole sitter, he's downstairs with Robin Miller.
Scotty, you've won this race 3 times. It was your first pole, and it was a hell of a pole because it shattered the track record. It looks like a video game watching you on television. What's it feel like?
It's pretty crazy. A lot's changed in, the years that we've been away from the Glen, and obviously the circuit's changed a lot. The cars have changed a lot, tires, engines, blah, 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 blah. But the speeds are through the roof, man. The bus stop used to be an actual corner, and now you're kind of letting off down 1 gear and back at it. So it's physically really demanding, especially the high peaks that you have in qualifying and trying to put piece a lap together. Even the slow corners that we used to have here are not slow anymore. So it's been a lot of fun, and I can't thank the Verizon IndyCar Series enough, and obviously the Glen here to get this put together in such a short amount of time. And the amount of people that have been here all weekend, all the camping, went down there last night to check out the camping, and it's really cool to be back here in upstate New York.
All right, well, guess what? If you run away with this race, I'm running out and causing a caution.
Come on, man. Just make sure you do it after I stop.
After you've pitted.
So you don't want to get home. After I've pitted.
Okay, Kevin, he wants a yellow after he pits.
Yeah, that's been an issue a couple of times this season for Dixon and others, and he hasn't won since much earlier, and he at one point was very much in the championship mix, now trying to catch up. Download IndyCar Mobile to access exclusive live in-car cameras, your driver and pit crew chatter, and more only on Verizon. Simon Pagenaud is one of those that you can follow today. Well, it is great to be back at Watkins Glen, Seneca Lake, and the Finger Lakes region. It is beautiful, and we're expecting entertaining racing as well. You're watching IndyCar Live, brought to you by Verizon. Go inside IndyCar all season. Download IndyCar Mobile from Verizon. We are 20 minutes away from the command for IndyCar's return to Watkins Glen. Last Saturday night was the final race of the season on an oval at Texas Motor Speedway. It took a while, 3 different days spanning 2.5 months to get it done, but it was well worth the wait.
My car's a f***ing rocket ship. I can crush these guys. I mean, crush them.
Under 10 to go here at Texas Motor Speedway. Who's going to get it?
So there's 5 cars on the lead lap. Hinch, Rahal, Elio, you, Pagenaud. Protect the bottom. Give them help.
It's Hinchcliffe. He has the jump on Rahal.
I feel like Hinchcliffe's going to be a bit of a sit and duck here.
3 wide down the back straightaway. Now they're trying to go 4 wide. Graham Rahal to the high side. 4 wide into turn number 3.
Oh boy.
Pagenaud, the championship leader, will back out.
Graham Rahal all over the place in the warm-up lane.
Mix 3, you crazy son of a...
1.5 miles to go. Graham Rahal has taken the lead on the final lap. Can Hinchcliffe battle back? Kanaan still in the mix. Rahal and Hinchcliffe to the line. Graham Rahal has won at Texas Motor Speedway.
Come and get the checkers, big boy.
8 thousandths of a second.
Sorry, buddy. We deserve that one. We got robbed today. That was awesome! That was awesome!
What a show last week at Texas as a subplot to the championship. We have detailed the top two separated by 28, but look at that race for third. For example, with the win, Ray Hall is within reach, just 22 back. Hinchcliffe within 51 in ninth position. Top 8 still eligible for the championship. Well, speaking of the guy everybody chasing in third, that's Tony Kanaan. He's with Katie Hargett.
Yeah, Kevin, and one of his best performances this season came at Road America, a track very similar to here, TK, but you haven't won on a road course since 2007. How do you like your chances today?
It's a long time. I mean,
sorry to point that out.
That's all right. I mean, we've been consistent and competitive. So, no, I think it's, you know, we have a good car. I have to thank my crew. You know, they did an awesome job. My engineer, Todd, putting the NTT Data car in the top 5 yesterday was awesome. So I'm confident. It's going to be a tough race. There is a lot of unknowns here, and I think it will be really exciting for people that are watching at home.
All right, thanks, TK. Go get him.
Well, Katie, you're talking about really exciting, and the guy who certainly is exciting is Sebastian Bourdais. Almost got the pole position yesterday, but ran out of fuel just with a corner or two to go. But the big question for you, Sebastian, is the red alternate Firestones. You've had trouble making them work. Any progress this morning?
I think we're closer, yeah. We made a couple of adjustments to the car, and it seems to have responded well. Now, obviously, the sun's out, track temperature is going up, so how is that going to shake out? I don't know. We'll find out pretty soon.
You also said downforce level, because passing could be an issue. Which way do you go there? You don't want to be hung up, but you have to be fast enough to pass.
Yeah, I think we'll probably be on the most trim side of the fence than the other side, so you know it's easier to defend. Is it going to be better? I guess you know the track I think is going to pick up quite a bit of grip as it's going to rubber up through the race, so hopefully we made the right decision.
All right, Sebastian, of course, he has a tremendous amount of experience, and he's not worried about the championship. He's going for it.
Going for a win today and a good starting position from third for Sebastian Bourdais. Driver introductions are complete. So many different places to watch today. Getting ready to go. IndyCar at Watkins Glen. This season, it's the 50th season of Team Penske, but Roger Penske's history predates that, going all the way back to here. 1961, he drove in the first Formula One event at Watkins Glen, and the next year as well. Mark Donohue, one of his drivers in the U.S. Grand Prix at Watkins Glen in 1974. IndyCar started racing here in '79. Rick Mears was one of the back-to-back-to-back winners. And then in the more modern era, Will Power, the most recent winner in 2010. At Watkins Glen, and Power has an opportunity this year. Joey Logano won in Sprint Cup in 2015 as well. Power is going to start second in the race today, one of 4 opportunities for the captain to get to victory lane at Watkins Glen. A great look at Seneca Lake as you watch IndyCar Live, brought to you by Verizon. Go inside IndyCar all season. Download IndyCar Mobile from Verizon. Welcome back to upstate New York, Watkins Glen International. We're nearly ready to race, but before we can, we need to go downstairs for opening ceremonies.
The New York State Police Troop E, Zone 3, present our nation's colors. Please remain standing as Reverend David Fife of Bentley Creek Wesleyan Church offers this afternoon's invocation.
Thank you, God, for the wonderful weather that you have provided for this year's running of the Verizon IndyCar Series at the Glen, presented by Hitachi. We thank you that we can be joined by the Maine Endwell World Series Little League champions. And now we ask your blessing upon this race. We ask that each driver, course worker, and crew member could enjoy your hand of protection and keep them safe. And help us to remember, Lord, that all things that are good come from you. Amen.
And now, race fans, please welcome the anthem singer from the Buffalo Sabres, Doug Allen, as he performs our national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Race fans, one way.
Great visuals here in upstate New York. The fireworks going off, the anthems have been played. That means it's nearly race time. It is great to be back at Watkins Glen. Thank you for joining us today on NBCSN. I'm Kevin Lee, along with our expert analyst, Townsend Bell, Paul Tracy over there. We've talked a lot so far about the championship, Townsend. There are other guys who want to get their first win of the season, move up in the championship, but how might that impact Power and Pagano?
Well, I can tell you that the young guys could care less about how it impacts the championship, and several veterans in this sport that are looking for a big result in these final two races. A lot of guys might not see an IndyCar future unless they produce here or at Sonoma. So it's really two parallel plots against the championship battle and people looking for a one-off result. And we saw that come into play at Texas. Watch this, a potential four-wide, almost disastrous situation, but it was Simon Pagano in the number 22 there backing out and choosing to be a little cautious, while the other three at the front, Kanaan, Hinchcliffe, and Rahal, all were going for their first win of the season. It ended up being Graham Rahal at the top, but Simon Pagano's decision right here as we ride on board to back out, take that fourth place finish and the points, that could be the move that ultimately wins him the championship this season.
Well, PT, we know it can be challenging to pass here. However, we know guys are going to try at this stage in the season. So how do you navigate the chaos?
You navigate the chaos simply by being on the offensive. If Simon Pagano gets on the defensive and tries to coast this thing in, it's over for him. Willpower will take him over. Here we see him on the pole at Barber. He had a comfortable position. He took the lead and controlled the race from there. But today, he's further back in the danger zone in the middle of the field, and Power's starting up front. So it's going to be key for him to be on the offensive and really stay out of trouble and be moving forward to chase down Power right now.
Guys, the other thing that stands out is the pure speed on this road course, pushing 190 miles an hour top speed.
Yeah, and I think what's really impressive at Watkins Glen with the repavement is the minimum speed. Actually, the average is about 145. This place races a lot like an 11-turn oval track, more so than a road course. It's super quick.
It is going to be good. The championship is still at stake, and so many other storylines to watch for coming up today. Thank you for watching IndyCar Live on NBCSN, presented by Verizon. Drivers are getting strapped in. The command is coming up in just a moment. 60 laps of racing coming up from Watkins Glen International. Watkins Glen, the storied road course built into the glacier hills of New York, has been hosting the greats of open-wheel racing since 1956. Names such as Gurney, Clark, Andretti, and Mears have all gone on to claim a win at the Glen. And while their pages in the history book have been written, the 2016 IndyCar chapter is about to be finished. With 2 races left, the charge for the championship is mathematically down to 8. But at the top sits Simon Pagano, followed by Will Power. Teammates early in their IndyCar career, the two have been hard to separate over the years. With Pagano rejoining Power at Team Penske last year, 2015 saw the Frenchman go winless at a place where perfection is expected. Bound to fight back this year saw Simon capture 3 wins in the first 4 races and commanded an early lead of the championship, one he has held since round 2. Paired against Power's midseason string of wins, the distance between the two is now just 28 points. Today in Watkins Glen, the two are set to battle again on a quest to become the next IndyCar champion.
All done, guys. guys. Well done, boys. That was a sweet way to win.
And then there were two. Today and 2 weeks in Sonoma to decide the 2016 Verizon IndyCar Series Championship. Welcome to the IndyCar Grand Prix at the Glen in upstate New York. Drivers are strapped in. Ryan Hunter-Reay about to make his 200th career IndyCar start, a former Indianapolis 500 champion. And Simon Pagenaud trying to become a first-time IndyCar champion, making his 100th career start. It's about time to get him going. Let's go downstairs.
International race fans, are you ready? It's time for those most famous words in all of sports. Please welcome your Little League World Series champions, the Maine Edwell Little League team, to give the command.
Drivers, start your engines!
And those young fellas, the first American team to win the Little League World Series since 2011, the first from New York since 1964. Well, let's learn more about this 11-turn, 3.37-mile course. Townsend, take us around Watkins Glen.
Well, simply one of the finest tracks in the world, revered by racing drivers everywhere. But down in turn one on the start, as we ride on board with Pagenaud, it is fast. It sort of bowls into the apex there. Look at that massive exit curve. You can see the Cup cars use all of that. You might see some Indy cars use all of that today. But the inner loop, wicked fast section here. 5th gear. Absolutely top speed as you bounce through the corners. Just a brush of the brakes here, back on board with Pagenaud. And it goes so quickly and then straight into the fast carousel. Then we go to the boot. Now NASCAR does not use this section. It's specific to IndyCar, the long course here at Watkins Glen. This is the uphill toe section, turn 6. Massive entry speed here, but it can catch you out. Here's Simon Pagenaud getting it wrong in practice. Same issue for Josef Newgarden, loses the back end and wallops the rear wing. And then we come through to the finish, and this place just flows so beautifully. It's a beautiful part of the country, and the drivers love the speed.
Well, there are actually 23 cars on the track right now, 23 Indy cars. One of them is the Honda 2-seater. There's still time to get in on Honda's fastest seated sports sweepstakes. Enter at racewithhonda.com. Today's lucky winner, riding with the legend Mario Andretti, is Dale Light from St. Petersburg, Florida. Dale, did you sign the waiver?
Yes, sir.
So what's this been like so far?
It's been awesome. Couldn't ask for more.
Get ready. He's going to turn it up here in just a little bit. You'll get to feel that Mario Andretti still can put the pedal down. And by logging on to racewithhonda.com, Dale won the opportunity to start today's race with Indy 500 champion and legend Mario Andretti. Now let's take a look at how they'll line up today with the Mother's Polish starting grid. Scott Dixon tied Paul Tracy for 11th on the all-time pole list with his 25th career yesterday. Will Power starts next to him.
Looking further back, Max Chilton with a great qualifying position for the rookie. Another Ganassi driver there, teammates to Scott Dixon, making full use of their setup.
Pagenaud in the danger zone. You know his teammate's going to race him hard. Aloshin runs hard all the time. Newgarden wants to move forward, but Enerson second quickest in warm-up this morning.
Looking all the way back there to Alexander Rossi, Marco Andretti, Carlos Munoz. Andretti teammates, it's been a tough season on the road courses for the Andretti drivers. Look for them to be very bold at the start.
Well, we've got some very good looks today besides what we have around the track. On board, starting with Graham Rahal, the Manitowoc Cranes for the number 15 from Rahal, Letterman, Lanigan Racing. James Hinchcliffe penalized in qualifying. He has a fast car starting 13th with the Lucas Oil on board. We'll get to see Josef Newgarden as well for Ed Carpenter Racing. See if he can make his way through the field. Tony Kanaan doesn't have far to go. He's starting up near the front. We'll see his view on the NTT data camera. Will Power from the front row with the Verizon on board. And the championship leader, Simon Pagenaud, with our Verizon streaming on board. Download IndyCar Mobile to access exclusive live in-car cameras, hear driver and pit crew chatter, and more only on Verizon. Let's go downstairs, find out more of the storylines with Jan Bikas.
And Kevin, of course, there's a lot of unknowns today here at Watkins Glen, and the first would be pit strategy. Now, most likely, it'll be a 3-stop strategy, and when you do that, that gives you nice wide windows. You can see there's a lot of flexibility available for the teams. Now, you could make it in 2 stops, but you need about 14 laps of caution to make that easy. So I expect the leaders are going to be full go, not worrying about saving fuel, Katie.
Jan, and a major factor in those pit windows today could be the decision on tires. That's because many drivers are unhappy with the balance on these alternate Firestone Reds. Scott Dixon even secured the pole this weekend on Firestone Blacks, and that may be because Firestone designed these Firestone primary tires just specifically for Watkins Glen. Now today in the race, all but 4 drivers are starting on these alternate red tires, possibly to get them out of the way, but look for tires to play a major role in today's winner. Robin?
Katie? IndyCar had been here since 2010. What's changed? Well, last year, Watkins Glen spent $11 million repaving this racetrack. And what we've got is the fastest road course we've been at since Cleveland, maybe even faster. Lap speeds at almost 150 miles an hour. That's old oval track speeds back in the old days. 190 miles an hour is the top speed. The slowest corner is 90 miles an hour. And these drivers all say it's going to be a physical race, and it's kind of like a video game, and it's the best track they've run all season. Kevin?
Can't wait. We're about ready to get going. Pace laps are underway. The field is getting their tires warmed up as we watch Scott Dixon. There was a 30-minute warm-up today, and drivers were working on some different things. And PT, this was very early in practice with Dixon.
This is how critical the start's going to be. He was practicing his starts on push to pass, and he got in there so deep, nearly lost it at 165 miles an hour. So he did about 3 practice starts to start off his practice session this morning. He knows, and his team, Mike Hall, knows how critical it's going to be to make it to this inner loop chicane in first place.
What a smart decision that is, to do it and warm up and know what happens if you get in too hot. Hate to have that happen in the race. Just behind Dixon there, you see Sebastian Bourdais. Terrific qualifying position for him. And out of all-time road course and street wins, Bourdais sits atop that list at 30. Some other big names. Look down at number 5, Paul Tracy, 23.
Yeah.
And this is the corner we just talked about during the track map. It's the toe of the boot, also called turn 6, and that's where we saw some drivers lose the back end carrying huge entry speed. It basically heads in downhill and then goes uphill through the middle, and the undulations of the natural topography here, that's what makes Watkins Glen so special. Look at the beautiful shots here. I just love every aerial view of this track.
Holiday weekend, look at all these campers. Everybody came out. Beautiful weather all weekend. Today is the hottest day of the weekend so far. So the physical aspect of this track with the high speeds and the G's in the heat today is going to be a factor.
Through turn number 9, turn 10, they can start going right before turn 11, lined up with the championship at stake and so much more. Dixon and Power in the front row. IndyCar back where it belongs at Watkins Glen. Here we go to the green with Dixon grabbing the front. Power jumps in right behind, and then he's going to look to try to go around to the outside as they head to turn number 1. But there's a battle for third. Kanaan and Power nearly come together. Pagano goes off, and the championship leader Montoya is around it. Pagano had some problem. That was a Lotion that came together, and then Bourdais is over in the tires.
One of the ABC Foyt cars came sliding down the inside. I think it was Hawksworth that made contact, as we see Pagano.
That's Will Power.
Making a move on Will Power. How did he go from 8th to 3rd?
Green flag is still out as they wait to see if Bourdais can continue. It's a long lap around here, so IndyCar has plenty of time to see if the corner is cleared. But the battle between the 2 championship leaders is on.
Simon was in the danger zone, but somehow he came out of that wreck in the first corner and now is in 3rd place. And these guys are now mano-a-mano for the championship.
And turn 1 is clean, so we will stay green. Dixon has been able to stretch it out by more than a second. The battle is for second. Power and Pagano in the championship fight. Kanaan in the blue car right behind the green and black of Pagano. And then there comes Castroneves. And look at R.C. Enerson, the rookie, up to 6th in his second IndyCar start.
From 11th to 6th, Pagano 8th to 3rd. They are the big movers. Hawksworth still in 7th, so there was some contact between him and a group of cars, and we still don't know where Sebastian Bourdais is. He was in the tires at turn 1.
On board with James Hinchcliffe, running in 11th.
Oh,
Kanaan around the outside of Pagano.
A nice move, a nice move by Kanaan, but he's on the curbs. He got hung up on the curbs, and Pagano gets a run back up the hill.
Side-by-side racing at Watkins Glen. Pagano fights back.
He's going to get the draft now. Will Pagano cover the inside? He does. They're both on push to pass.
Pagano has the advantage here. That's where you want to be. Protect the inside. You really only can run single file through the inner loop. Pagano takes the spot. Now he'll try to close the gap up to Power. He lost about a second that lap to Will Power.
I said it in the pre-show. I said he's got to be on the offensive, and he certainly is. He can't sit back on his heels and try to coast this one in. He's got to be pushing to get in front of his teammate this whole race.
By the way, Sebastian Bourdais did not pit. He stayed out, but he's about a half a lap behind the pack right now, trying to catch up, hoping for yellow as we ride with Tony Kanaan.
I wonder if Simon has any damage at all, because Kanaan is really putting a lot of pressure on him. They're having a good battle here, but I wonder if he sustained any damage at all.
There's Power in the silver car in 2nd. Pagano, green and black in 3rd.
So far, it looks like Pagano's just coming to grips with the red Firestone tires, the softer compound, supposedly at 116 track temp, and here comes Kanaan
again. He's going to shoot down the, he backs off, maybe go for push to pass here, but he had a good run going there. Kanaan's car is well balanced.
Well, let's go back and look at the start of this race again with so many different things happening, and let's see what we're watching.
We look at here, look at this car here, and I think it is Hawksworth comes sliding down the inside, locked up, 4 wide. He goes for the curb and makes contact, and Pagano's there, and he hits this car here as Montoya spinning, so I don't know.
Well, we talked about in the pre-race young drivers that needed a result, and Jack Hawksworth would certainly be near the top of that list. And it's very difficult to force 4 wide up the inside, on board with Newgarden.
And there was multiple incidents going on here. There was cars spinning in front, there was cars spinning behind, so a couple of different things going on.
Let's watch Pagano's on board and see the championship leader's perspective.
Tell you what, that's brave right there. He had a great start. Just a super clean start. The door was wide open and right into 3rd place.
So no dramas for Pagano.
Brilliant. You know, that first corner incident reminds me a lot of Spa last week with Max Verstappen sticking it up the inside there. And we'll see if that situation's under review. It looks like everybody's been able to continue, but look at the run he had, Simon Pagano, heading to the inner loop. But nothing you can do from the outside there.
This is a couple of laps later.
I don't know. I gotta say that could be a block. No, because he kind of faded over, and Kanaan was going that way. And whoa! Look at that. He's lucky. Kanaan was lucky to save that.
On board with Kanaan here. Makes a move to the outside, but when you straddle this exit curve, you high center on your skid. And basically the rear tires come off the ground. Paul, I think that was proactive by Pagano. I'm not going to call that a block. I'm going to say he did that in advance of Kanaan making a move.
If I'm Kanaan, I'm going to say, hey, the guy's moving over on me and blocking me. So you can look at it both ways. So I'm sure Kanaan would call that in to the team, and the instant message would go right up to the chief steward.
Well, if I'm the chief steward, I'd say look at the last 10 years of Tony Kanaan being the leader in that situation. Nobody defends harder. So far, so good. No calls from race control, but these guys are going at it. Jan?
They are going at it, and for Simon Pagano, you heard him say in the pre-race show, he was uncomfortable with the car early in the weekend, but he likes these red sidewall alternates. They tend to give his car more balance. He's been lacking, the car has been loose in these really high-speed corners. He likes the reds and says, hey, I like the longevity too. I'm going to run these all day.
I'll tell you what we got up front here. We got the big power broker teams. We got Ganassi Racing, then Penske, Ganassi, Penske, and then Dale Coyne's team with R.C. Enerson in 6th place.
And then other big jumpers, Charlie Kimball went from 14th to 7th, and Alexander Rossi from 15th to 8th. You're watching NBCSN's coverage of IndyCar, brought to you by United Rentals, official equipment rental services provider of IndyCar and proud sponsor of Graham Rahal. In the early going at Watkins Glen after a frantic start, Scott Dixon stayed out in front of it. Will Power maintained second, but Simon Pagenaud, who leads the championship, was able to get the jump up to third. So Power in second in the silver car. There's the red target car well out in front, and then just now entering the inner loop is Scott Dixon, Will Power, followed by Simon Pagenaud.
How about this guy, Paul? You're a big fan of his. RC Enerson has moved up 5 positions since the start. He's in one of the smaller teams with Dale Coyne Racing, a rookie in only his second race. And Paul, he had a chance to win Mid-Ohio.
Yeah, he was running fast. They ran him out of fuel, and he was turning fastest laps of the race. He was the 3rd quickest overall lap in the race, and he had a nice clean start, moved up a couple positions, holding his own here with these teams like Penske and Ganassi.
And Paul, one of the things about RC, he says, in these slower, and I say slower, that's about 90-mile-an-hour corner, but in the high-speed corners, he says, my car is stuck. I wish I could have more front end on the slower corners, but when it comes to high speed, my car is exactly what I want. Katie?
And Alexander Rossi had started 15th, and we'll slide back to him there in 9th. He said Watkins Glen has quickly become his favorite course, and of course his future for 2017 still in question as well. I asked him about that, and he said he would absolutely love to be back in IndyCar. It is the most competitive series he's ever been a part of. He came over here expecting the IndyCar to drive much like the GP2 car that he'd driven before, based on the power and weight ratio, but it was extremely different. So this year he has learned the most about adaptability, as we see Hinch making a move there on Alexander Rossi. Kevin?
For 9th position, James Hinchcliffe makes the pass stick on Rossi, who said there wouldn't be overtaking today. You know there's always going to be.
That was an impressive pass for Hinchcliffe. I don't believe he had to use a push to pass, just got a great exit out of turn 1, used the draft, and went right by.
And he will make his debut in the next coming weeks on Dancing with the Stars. Apparently he's moved into an apartment in LA. He's already training and getting ready for that before the season ends.
He's got to learn how to dance in less than 2 weeks.
Yes.
Good luck. But he'll be able to figure it out. They always say athletes do better on that show, and it is a great opportunity for IndyCar. Fantastic exposure. And James Hinchcliffe, as we take a look at the Firestone telemetry on board for the number 5 Aero car, is the man to try to bring IndyCar to the masses. So good luck, Hinch, on Dancing with the Stars. Katie was talking about Rossi's future. There are a lot of stories swirling around. We may get Robin Miller to try to sort that out a little bit later on. Everyone is headed everywhere is basically the way to surmise it.
Silly season has really started. I think Bourdais is really the first piece of the puzzle. It sounds like he's making a move away from KV Racing to potentially Dale Coyne. So that leaves a couple guys with their options as we watch Sato now. First guy to go on an alternate strategy, go 3-stopper.
1, nice and easy. Okay, boys, brand new set of sticker reds, not much change in the car. He told AJ Foyt he's pretty happy right now, but guess what? He's got a lot of ground to make up. Little problem. Now he's going.
Almost went over the hose. Sato comes in. He started last after issues in qualifying put him back there. So they'll go off strategy and hope to make that work. We wondered about Bourdais maybe coming in. The problem was that he was a half a lap behind, so he risked falling a lap behind. Well, he's starting to catch up a little bit to the pack. Jan, what do you know?
Well, they feel confident that he's able to get enough of a gap. The time lost on pit road is 30 seconds if you took all the fuel. If you stop now, you won't need all the fuel, so he should be good to go. They love his lap times. The car was not damaged. Of course, they told him if the car feels okay, Jimmy Vasser on the radio to Sebastian Bourdais saying, okay, boys, let's pick it up. If you pit early, then they'll hope for a caution.
Well, he set the fastest lap of the race again, a 25.2. to Dixon's 25.6, so he's got the pace, but the problem is he's half the track behind.
Look at
as
the
we
gap
see
that
now,
Scott Dixon has pulled out.
Powers pulled a gap on Pagenaud, but Kanaan still right there behind Pagenaud, dogging him. As we see Newgarden now is going off strategy as well.
Joseph, I was just talking to his father. He said the car's perfect. He said, I just wish he'd have started a little further up front. He's been on some brand new black tires. Take off the optionals. A little turn, a half turn, then a half turn front wing. Away he goes.
He goes to the Firestone Blacks, as you see Hawksworth exit as well, I think also on blacks. I was surprised to see Sato go reds because the track temp 116 degrees, and it seemed like in practice and qualifying that the Firestone Blacks were the way to go in the hotter temperatures. We'll have to see how it plays out as we get through the first round of stops here.
Hawksworth has a run on Hawksworth here on cold tires. They both came out of the pit together, both on push to pass. Newgarden slides by, and he'll clear him and be gone.
So different strategies are going to be in play, but are they going to be widely different, or just still it's a basic 3-stop strategy?
5-second lead now for Dixon. They just got to make the right calls and pit when the window's open and not make any mistakes like they did in Toronto, where he dominated in the same fashion as right now, and they waited too long and a yellow came out. So they've just got to play it smart today.
Alexander Rossi would worked his way up into the top 10 coming in, and also Ryan Hunter-Reay is making his first stop in his 200th IndyCar race. The frustration continued for him in qualifying. Front wing adjustments for Hunter-Reay.
Yeah, they added a half turn of front wing. They went with the Firestone Blacks there. Big wing adjustment on Alexander Rossi. He's on red, so a lot of gamblers here. You know, some people believe in one compound or the other. Here's Bourdais.
And you see, you talk about compounds. He, of course, likes these black sidewall primaries, and they didn't need a whole lot of fuel. In fact, the fueler beat the tires, but unfortunately didn't get back underway quite as quickly, but that'll be good news for Bourdais. We'll watch to see the interval to be sure he doesn't get in the clutches of Dixon, but he should be okay.
Left front tire changer had problems. He was a little bit slow getting that wheel nut off, but when we look at this guy, Dixon, he is flat gone. He has dominated the whole weekend. He's only been slower than P1 in one practice session, so he has had this new track, new pavement under control from the drop of the green flag this weekend.
So Bourdais has no problem getting out in front. He's already passed the S's, while Dixon is just now crossing the start-finish line. He's completed 11 of 60 and is up by over 5 seconds on Will Power. Stay with us from Watkins Glen. September in upstate New York. Yes, we love coming to the racetrack, but also the area, Seneca Lake, the Finger Lakes region. They used to race on the streets here before this track was built. There's the Seneca Lodge where you must visit, and so many other things to see in upstate New York. And Watkins Glen International, one of the great road courses in North America, and it's another playground for Scott Dixon. 3-time winner in 6 starts, and so far he's up by 6.5 seconds on Will Power. But Tony Kanaan, you saw it in side-by-side, guys, has moved up to 3rd.
Yeah, Tony was dogging Pagenaud since the beginning. He's finally got clear of him. So we see Power come out. There's Kanaan now in front of Pagenaud.
So there's Kanaan in 3rd, and this is what you were watching in our nonstop coverage, the run on Pagenaud.
And here's Kanaan on the button, push to pass, making the run. Classic move to the outside where the grip is for the brake zone as they head to the inner loop. Now Tony Kanaan has used 4 of his push to pass, so he's got 6 left. Pagenaud with 7 remaining, as these two, Castroneves and Charlie Kimball, are battling it out for 5th.
Well, it's a team against team battle royale. It seems right now that the Ganassi team is putting all the pressure all over the place on the Penske team, because it's basically Ganassi, Penske, Ganassi, Penske, Ganassi, Penske for the top 6.
You know, Charlie Kimball, we haven't talked about much this weekend, but he has the 2nd fastest lap of the race. We expect Scott Dixon to pit this lap, but Dixon is really untouchable. He's 4/10 clear of his teammate Kimball as he comes through the final corner. We'll see if he comes to pit lane.
Yep, here he comes.
Okay, right down in here, you'll be coming around the coin, guys.
Mike Hull talking him into this pit stop. Believe it or not, guys, he's actually been making better fuel numbers than they've been asking him to do. He's going from the alternates to sticker primaries. You're seeing the leaders flash by. That was a 7.5 second stop. That's perfect, especially when you have the kind of lead that Scott Dixon has. His teammate Chilton in as well. So now for Max Chilton, he has been obviously the benefactor of Scott Dixon. He's able to use the exact same setup, being a teammate, and he loves these kind of racetracks. Wow, that's a quick stop for Max Chilton. He's having a great day so far.
Best start of his young IndyCar career, started in 6th. Lost a couple of positions early, and Enerson is around, and he's hard into the barrier.
That's at the top of the really the fastest part of the track, and I think he might have gotten together with Dixon because he was coming out of the pits, Dixon, right when Enerson was going by, so I think they could have been together at that point.
Has to either be that or a mechanical failure, because that's a wide open section of the track. You're really not at the limit where you're having to lift off the throttle. And he spun like a top. Look further back down the track at the skid marks that kind of cross over, so you can see that he was spinning for a while. Let's see what happened. Dixon's nowhere in sight.
Tire blew apart. And that is a very, very rare instance when you see a Firestone tire come apart, and that is the fastest part of the track. You're probably going 170 right there, and luckily not a ton of contact with the barrier.
You know, I'm looking at the tire
There's Dixon.
failure.
There's Dixon that went by, so I knew they were close together, and we hope that Dixon didn't run over anything because there's carbon all over the track, and he just got his pit stop, so he's got a lucky break there that everybody else, he'll go back to the front now.
And we've heard of drivers having issues on the left rear tire wear, and I wonder, Jan, have you heard guys talking about that on pit lane, because he had 14 laps.
Yes, I've seen some of the tires that are coming off, some of the red alternates have a few spots around them, a few blisters. Can't say that that'd be an issue for Mikhail Aleshin, but I can tell you I was in Scott Dixon's pit. As soon as they saw that Mikhail Aleshin was okay and it didn't look like they hit debris, there was a huge cheer. Remember, he told Robin Miller right at the pre-race, hey, because he was joking, I'll give you a caution right after you pit. Well, today, finally, they got a caution right after they pitted.
Yeah, this is a big problem for Pagenaud, Kanaan, Power. They haven't pitted, and there's probably a half a dozen or more cars that have pitted. So have a listen to this.
Ooh. Absolutely no indication for the driver in a situation like that. Aleshin totally a passenger, and it's, you know, it's terrifying when that happens. You are at terminal velocity. You're thinking about approaching the brake zone. The last thing you expect is the car to get loose like that.
I'm certainly not an engineer and can't speak to what caused it, but think about this perspective for Firestone. This race was not on the schedule a couple of months ago, and the track is totally different. The cars are different with more downforce. Firestone had to scramble to put a tire together for this event.
The red tire, which Aleshin was on, is actually the prime, the main tire for Mid-Ohio Road America, I believe. So the black tire was developed here for Watkins Glen, but not the red.
Here's the issue now as we watch what has happened from Dixon back from 9th all the way back to 22nd. Everybody has pitted, so that's going to put Power basically in about 14th or 15th, I would think. So,
and one of the concerns right now at lap 16 that we're working, this is right where you would probably have to stop if you ran full rich on the first stint. So some of these cars might be struggling for fuel just to make it back around. We'll have to see if they open the pits here.
And the only positive for Power and Pagenaud is, yes, they want to win the race and finish as high as they can, but they're really racing each other at this point, and they're both in the same circumstance. So we may have 2 races, one at the front and then one a little further back for those that got caught out.
Power about to pit, but as they run right now, Power would be only 12 points behind Pagenaud, but that's going to change here shortly as they've packed up behind the pace car. And I would expect your top 8 cars to all head for pit lane here.
So it's Power, Kanaan, there's Pagenaud in 3rd. Castroneves is behind him. Charlie Kimball 5th. Then R.C. Enerson, James Hinchcliffe, Graham Rahal, all have not pitted.
And look for teams to make a last-second decision to switch. If they were planning to put new sticker reds on, maybe they've watched what's happened to Aleshin and said, you know what, that's out the window. We're finishing out on blacks.
We'll pit this lap, Will. We'll pit this lap.
Blacks laid out for Will Power's team, it looks here. Or Pagenaud's team right there. Blacks, so they are not going to go with the reds.
Yes, and I think that's a case right now where they're going to take those blacks, and I think, Paul, they're going to have to take all the fuel. You can't short fill here, even though it's under caution. So for Simon Pagenaud, he has liked the reds. He said he was going to do that. You're going to see Dixon and others who have already pitted flash by on the front straightaway. We're going to watch Pagenaud. He's going to need a nice quick one to make sure he doesn't lose track position for those who are pitting right now. But again, they're going to wait for all the fuel. You can see wait, and a wing change. Katie?
Will Power, of course, keeping the championship in mind as we see a long stop for him to make sure he gets filled all the way up as he goes to Firestone Blacks.
And Power loses a position to his teammate, which is not what he wants. He lost a spot to Kanaan and his teammate, and to add insult to injury, they're going to come out in about 15th position.
So Kanaan wins that race off pit road, but Scott Dixon has cycled back to the front. He's been dominating before the caution. Crash for Mikhail Aloshin. We'll get an entertaining restart coming up in just a moment with Dixon, Chilton, Montoya, Daly, and Power. The top 5 according to timing and scoring. Stay with us. Watch every IndyCar race online, on mobile, on tablet, and connected TV devices with the NBC Sports app. For details, visit NBCSports.com/live. Under caution at Watkins Glen. Scott Dixon has cycled back to the front after the crash for Mikhail Aloshin, and he's with Robin Miller.
The good news is, after a frightening deal like that, you're fine. Talk us through what happened.
Yeah, of course I'm fine. I'm Russian, you know. What can happen to me? But I mean, that was not very nice feeling when you would come into the turn and then you just feel that, yeah, you can see the damage on the left rear tire. You know, it just exploded, and I had no chance to catch the car. I mean, I just had no chance to catch. And the worst thing was, you know, was that we were coming to the pit stop. So. And we had a great speed. We were catching a lot of cars. I did a mistake in the first lap, and that was definitely my mistake. You know, I just went too wide in turn 1 and spun. But we had a great car and we had a good pace, and we were catching a lot of guys. You know, because I had a clearer track. So, but you know, this situation can happen with everyone. Luckily, you know, I'm fine, and the car is not damaged so badly. So. Probably, as you said to me a couple of minutes ago, I had all the bad luck this weekend, so we're going to move forward.
All right, that's a good attitude. Good news is he's all right, Kevin.
All right, Scott Dixon is the leader. The first 11 had already pitted before the caution, so those that just came in, Tony Kanaan won that race off, but he's back in 12th with Pagenaud 13th behind him, the championship leader. He's 28 in front of Will Power coming into the race, and Power is 14th. Up front, it's Dixon, Chilton, Montoya, Daly, Rossi, and Newgarden.
See, I'm sure Chilton will be under orders to hold the position and keep Montoya behind him. Right now, this is Scott Dixon's race to lose as we're coming back to green.
Nearing the 1/3 point of this race, getting set to complete lap number 18 of 60 at Watkins Glen. Dixon back on the Power. His teammate Chilton trying to chase him. There's Montoya lurking in third. Green flag racing again at Watkins Glen. And Dixon storms into turn 1. A lock up in third for Montoya. And then a look to the inside back in the pack. That's Spencer Pigot in the new Samsung colors.
Terrific move by Pigot. Everybody will be thinking about pushing the push to pass button coming up the hill through the S's here as they come to the inner loop. See, Chilton is on it, Montoya's on it.
Kanaan making moves. He got by one of the Foyt cars, and now he's making a move on Bourdais. Bourdais looks left, he looks right on Pigot. So as they file into the bus stop, same order.
Terrific stuff. Connor Daly, Rossi, Newgarden, Spencer Pigot, all young Americans that grew up racing against each other. They came through the Mazda Road to Indy. They raced in Europe, and they're now running in the top 10.
Kimball looking to the outside, or inside rather, of Castro Neves. No opportunity there.
I talked about it at the start of the race. Where Pagenaud is now, this is the danger zone. In the middle of the field is where guys don't care about that you're the championship leader. They want to get a good finish, and they don't care if they run you wide. As we see, Bourdais slips down inside Pigot, and Kanaan's going to make a move here.
Good job.
This is a problem for Pagenaud because these guys do not care if they bang wheels with you.
We've got a lot of fast cars mid-pack right now because of the timing of that caution. Kanaan running 11th, looking up at Spencer Piggott. Hawksworth is behind him. Then the two championship combatants running nose to tail. Pagenaud 13, Power 14.
Great run for Tony Kanaan right there. He's going to be close to Piggott as they get to turn 1. You see Tony Kanaan in the blue car there. See if he gets a run. Just a little bit soft on the exit, but further back there's some wheel-to-wheel action and a big crash. Graham Rahal, I believe.
That was a big one. He went head on into the wall. It looked like he was on the inside of one of the Foyt cars and got it sideways.
Talk to me, Graham, you okay?
Yeah, he's already taken the wheel off, so he can't respond, but he is going to climb out, so that's good news.
Yeah, if we get that overhead again, was a perfect view. It looked like he had an inside move on one of the Foyt cars, and he just lost it coming out of the corner, maybe touched wheels, front to back wheel, and he hit the wall.
Was he
head
on the exit curb, Paul?
No, he was inside, on the inside of the car, and it looked like he just got, just
throttle.
Pinched it coming off the corner, and he was trying to get on throttle, and it just went around. You can see there he's pretty bummed out. Let's take a look at this again. He's down on the inside right here, and he pinches it, and he just loses it there. And
I think there was contact with Kimball. I believe that was Charlie Kimball that was trying to defend, and as Kimball came off the corner, I think he clipped Rahal. So there's Rahal up the inside of the black and green car, Charlie Kimball, and I think there might have just been contact right there.
And the incident is under review because of that contact.
Wow, that was a big impact.
Didn't you just have a sense something was coming with all these fast guys wanting to get back through?
Well, there's an urgency here in turn 1 as we ride with Graham Rahal. He's going to duck to the inside here, try to outbrake.
See if they touch wheels on the exit here, because Kimball got on the curb. Yep.
Oh, man.
Watch in real time here. Yeah, it's a good thing there's tires there, because that would, with an Armco to car, that could have split the Armco open and really done a lot of damage. It has done a lot of damage to the car, so not a good day for Graham. I'm sure we'll get an opinion from him what he thought. Kimball is always a tough guy to race. You know he's going to race you hard, so but this, again, these yellows breed yellows, and this could change up some of the strategy.
So cleanup coming. Second caution of the day. Scott Dixon is out in front at Watkins Glen. Under caution for the second time today, IndyCar at the Glen. Graham Rahal out of turn 1 made some slight contact with Charlie Kimball, and Katie has caught up with Graham.
And Graham had worked his way from 20th to 8th, but Graham, it's been an overall frustrating weekend for you. What happened?
Yeah, just, we owe it to the guys having better performance than that, and obviously got a great run on Kimball. I went down inside, completed the pass, and then he decided not to give me any room, as you can see on the exit, and boom. I mean, that's a hard hit. That's probably the hardest hit I've taken in my life, ovals included. So, it's just a shame that yellow. We were looking really, really good. My car was United Rentals car. I'm telling you, it was phenomenal. And we were able to move up, as you can see. I don't know how many cars we passed, but more than I thought we could. And we saved a lot of overtakes, and our tires were better than everybody. And the yellow was poor timing, and unfortunately, we got back there with Kimball, and with that guy, anything can happen. But I got to take blame too, because I put myself in that position. I should know better than race him like that. It's just it's disappointing.
You said a hard hit. Are you feeling okay?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm just a little ticked off, because obviously I disagreed heavily with the penalty yesterday that put us back there in the first place. And then clearly, when you take an impact like that, the guy's gonna have a hell of a lot of work to do to get this thing fixed for Sonoma test on Thursday. I don't know if this car is repairable. The tub was bad. Great crowd up here at Watkins Glen. We can't thank everybody enough. I mean, the camping looks awesome and stuff, but it's just frustrating. We definitely want to do better. We owe it United Rentals with our Turns for Troops program, raising $50 for every lap completed. I think we were tied for the most laps completed of the whole season. Obviously, this is putting a dent in it.
Glad he's okay, Kev.
And we mentioned that race control was going to review that. No action taken for the incident. Graham Rahal out of the race. Max Chilton, his best qualifying effort of the day, and the pit sequence worked out well. He had had already pitted, and he cycled up to second, and he is our Chevy driver update. The top Chevy drivers in today's race. Chilton is second in that category, second overall. And this is the helmet he's wearing this weekend, a throwback to James Hunt, who won here in 1976. That was the year he won the Formula One World Championship. Fantastic look. And this is here at the Glen in 1967, the United States Grand Prix. And Jimmy Clark on the pole, dominating. This was before they added the boot to this course. Classic in so many ways. Formula One raced here from 1961 through 1980. Colin Chapman, the owner of the Lotus team, for Jim Clark, a former Indianapolis 500 winner. So much history here at this place, and it's wonderful for IndyCar to be back.
Well, a couple guys we haven't really talked about this race. We're going to go one to go as they come around here. Connor Daly is on the right sequence, and Rossi have moved up into the top 5. And Newgarden, who had the bad qualifying, is now up there.
And we're just 1/3 of the way through here as Castroneves is going to come to pit lane. Presumably to top up. Maybe they're going to try to make it on just 2 more stops.
All right, Castroneves is coming in. He was complaining about brake bias a minute ago. They're going to come in. They're going to put a couple turns in. Got a little bit of fuel. Obviously, the timing wasn't good for his pit stop. He was running 4th and didn't get that yellow.
Yeah, I mean, nothing to lose here for Enerson. He was the last guy in the group here, so.
Now, this pit stop before this, watch Roger Penske for the 3 car. And the left front guy is going to signal him, but keep a look at Penske, keep an eye on Penske as well. So the left front guy waved him out, but Roger is saying no, no, no. And that team is different than most. Roger Penske has verbal communication with his driver, and Tony Kanaan is signaling there's a problem.
His wheel is not on. It looks like he's broken suspension.
So if I make it to the pit.
That is very weird because he's run a couple laps at speed, but it looks like the wheel nut might have come loose or he's got suspension damage from somewhere.
Good shot of it. Oh. Yeah, that's
devastating for Kanaan. He's been so fast all weekend. He's had a great string of races in the last 5 races and moved up to 3rd in the championship, but this is a really weird situation.
What do you know, Jan?
Well, what he needs to do, you see, he just bypassed the shortcut, and they were told in the driver's meeting that even if you have a car that has a mechanical issue, you may not take the shortcut. You have to complete the lap and try and bring it back to the pit. So he obviously is hoping that this thing will stay together. That shortcut, of course, is where NASCAR normally competes on the shorter course. Now he's got to stay out here and just hope this thing stays together, and he can get this thing fixed under caution.
If you take the shortcut, you lose a lap. So I'm sure he doesn't want to lose a lap. So he's got to limp this around as they come back to green, hopefully get it fixed and not lose a lap. But we're not really sure what the problem is here as we get ready to go green again.
So bad news for Tony Kanaan, who at one point was running a legitimate 3rd in the race. Bad timing with the yellow. The first time out shuffled him back to 11th. So he'll be working his way from the back as we get set to restart with 23 of 60 now complete. Scott Dixon, the pole sitter, is still out in front. His teammate Max Chilton behind him. And that's Juan Pablo Montoya in 3rd. Connor Daly in 4th. Single file through 1.
No pressure on Dixon. Great restart. The first lap on the last restart, he pulled 3 seconds on that first lap. So the battle is right here in the middle of the field where Power and Pagenaud are back together, tied to each other.
Look at Rossi and Daly battling as they come to the inner loop. Daly has the advantage. Rossi's trying to stay there. Unfortunately for Connor Daly, he has burned 8 of his push to passes. He's going through those like my kid with my credit card right now. Only 2 left to complete the race. We're only at 1/3 of distance.
Kanaan has made it in.
He's going to lose a lap. It's as they pull the tire off. It was loose. I think it's suspension in the rear is damaged.
Got a broken toe link. Got a broken toe link.
There you go. So game over likely.
Typically that's going to be from contact at
the
some
engine
point.
off.
They'll fix it. They're not going to end the race for him being 3rd in the championship. You see Kanaan's frustrated. He slams his hands on the steering wheel, but they will fix it, and I will bet you they will put him out there in the mix with some guys and maybe put some pressure on some guys. As we see, Power has got a problem there. He was running wide and got passed by a bunch of cars.
So think about this for a second. Scott Dixon, as he runs away from the field right now, if we finished in this order, Dixon would move within 96 points of the overall championship lead. Now, a lot would have to happen going to Sonoma with that kind of gap, namely Pagenaud and Will Power not showing up to start the race.
Someone missing the flight. Yeah, yeah, they'd be mathematically alive, but if they show up, they're going to score points, and if they start the race, basically the number is 85. Need to be within 85 points. Look up ahead of Josef Newgarden.
And that was Rossi still working on Connor Daly. He had a look to the inside, and now he's got to be careful as they come through the carousel here that Newgarden doesn't pounce on Rossi.
2.5 second gap, 2.8 second gap. Dixon pulled on that first lap. Montoya is dogging Chilton as we see Chilton here. With Montoya right behind him, Connor Daly hanging tough, and Rossi has been fighting with Connor. Big gap.
And then Chilton leading the train for second. Montoya, Daly, Rossi, Newgarden, and Bourdais involved in a first turn incident, is caught back up. The yellow helped a bit. He's back to 7th. Now what's happening with Will Power? He's dropping a little bit. He's fallen to 14th, lost a couple of positions.
I saw him run wide in one of the turns, and I saw he got passed, but definitely might have got wide and got some stuff on his tires. He seems to have recovered, but he's lost a position to his teammate, so he's going to want to make that back as we see some blocking again with the blocking here, moving back and forth. Hinchcliffe has a run here. He's got to square him up and get on the push to pass here. So this is going to be a good drag race up to the bus stop chicane.
That's defending. Let's see if Pagenaud goes to the inside here in anticipation of Hinchcliffe making a move. Hinchcliffe is close enough. He has a draft. There he goes. Pagenaud ducks to the inside. Driver's right, forces Hinch to the outside. That's a tough place to make a move. We've been seeing it all day. Pagenaud holds the position.
It's a battle for 12th. Pagenaud, the championship leader. Hinchcliffe, who lost by 2 feet last Saturday night at Texas Motor Speedway.
Good pace right now by Hinchcliffe. He was very, very upset with the Chief Stewards after qualifying yesterday. Felt he could have gotten into the top 6. Jan, what do you know down in the pits?
Well, when you're watching there, you're following Simon Pagenaud. He has been changing his anti-roll bars every time he comes into these slow corners versus the fast corners. He said, my car is loose in high speed and pushes in low speed. So 3 or 4 times per lap, Townsend, you noticed that in practice, but he's doing it every lap of the race to try and keep the balance, and these are the tires he doesn't prefer. He wants to get back to the reds as soon as possible.
We saw in Pagenaud's pit stop, they took out a lot of front wing, so he's stiffening the front bar for the fast corners, softening for the slow ones, as you said, Jan. And the battle continues further back here with Rossi, who's on reds because he started the race on blacks. He has to do at least 1 stint on the reds.
And Bourdais has a run on Rossi right now.
On board with Kanaan. He's 2 laps down, by the way.
Yeah, Kanaan back on track, so 2 laps down. He's going to maybe do some testing now, get some track time.
Well, everyone's chasing Scott Dixon. A 5.5 second lead on Juan Pablo Montoya, has moved up to 2nd. NASCAR is throwing it back in Darlington this weekend. Drivers go retro to embrace the spirit of the 70s for Sprint Cup racing from Darlington. Tonight at 6 o'clock Eastern on NBC. No qualifying. They're starting on points because of the hurricane issues on Friday. So Kevin Harvick on the pole, but Keselowski was fastest in the final practice yesterday. Watch for that coming up tonight, 6 on NBC. Scott Dixon has dominated this race here today. IndyCar back at Watkins Glen for the first time since 2010, all the way back to 2nd place. Juan Pablo Montoya, a winner here previously. He's never raced here in an IndyCar, but he did win his 2nd Cup race here in 2010, Jan.
And it's amazing that he's picked up the 2nd spot here, because remember on that first restart you saw that smoke coming off one of the front wheels as he locked it up. He immediately got on the radio and said, oh, I flat spotted that front tire badly, but apparently he's been able to stay with it and work it back in, and obviously his pace is increasing.
See a few cars duck in the pit lane there.
This will help Pagenaud and Power cycle them more towards the front as we see Newgarden comes down the pit lane. Robin.
All right, here comes the most coveted free agent in IndyCar racing, Josef Newgarden, pitting in from 5th. He's putting on some used black tires. He just told his father on the radio, everything's great, this car's fabulous. I just wish I'd have started in the first couple of rows. But he's made up for that crash yesterday, running strong again.
Power also coming off pit road. That is Hawksworth, and then Charlie Kimball behind him. Marco Andretti pitted just a couple of laps ago, but he has been assessed a drive-through for a pit lane speed violation. Marco, the day was already going poorly. He was running near the back, and there is Andretti serving his pit speed penalty. And there's Scott Dixon. And let's watch and wait. And wait, and there he is, their second. Juan Pablo Montoya, 8.5 seconds back, another 3 seconds to Chilton. Our Chevrolet driver update. 1, 2, 3, Dixon, Montoya, Chilton. Bourdais has recovered to get into 6th, and the championship leader, Simon Pagenaud, running 10th right now.
Right at half distance now as the double crossed flags there come out. We're at half race. A lot of action has happened so far, so a long way to go still as we see Hunter Ray and Rossi enter the pits.
Sebastian Bourdais also taking this opportunity. This is within the pit window. He's going with sticker blacks and no changes. Let's get down the gate.
Alexander Rossi pits from the 5th position. He's going to go from the Firestone reds to the harder Firestone blacks. As you see him down and away. Hunter Ray also making a stop.
And he gets right out in the fast lane and beats Sebastian Bourdais for track position. Bourdais in the black, orange, and yellow hydroxy-cut car. The DHL yellow car of Hunter Ray coming up from behind.
Big
faster traffic coming.
Big battle here. Piggott was already on hot tires, pitted the lap before. Hunter Ray just out of the pits. This is where guys get into each other. The guy wants not to lose a position. He's on cold tires.
Nice job, Spencer Piggott.
Hunter Ray gives up the position.
I love the confidence that's been growing with Spencer Piggott. He's had a really good part-time season as Scott Dixon hits pit lane.
The leader had built up nearly a 10-second advantage. Now he rolls at 50 miles an hour.
Yes, and that takes the pressure off the crew. They know they have 9+ seconds in the bag. That's Mike Hull talking him through the process. No wing change. That's sticker blacks. Oh, nice stop for this crew. And he's stopping now because he has learned already stopping earlier is the way to go today in case you catch a caution. Katie?
Connor Daly making his second stop. He has worked his way up into the top 6. Front wing change for Daly, and he's away.
Pagenaud now with these pit stop cycles has moved his way back up to 5th, and Power is in 15th, so that's a big point advantage. We'll see on board now with Simon. Does he come this lap, and where will he cycle out compared to Power? Power has already hit the pit lane 2 laps ago.
Well, I think they'll keep him out as long as possible because he has clear air. If he starts to catch that car just in front, they'll think about pitting him. That is James Hinchcliffe, I believe, up ahead as we see Will Power stuck behind Ryan Hunter-Ray right now.
All great, unless the yellow comes out, and then it puts you to the back of the field again. So you can't play that game for too long.
Power is 15th. Pagenaud, as mentioned, is 5th. As they run, that championship gap is expanded to 42 points, but there's still much to happen. Nearly half race distance to go here at Watkins Glen, and double points in 2 weeks for the championship in Sonoma.
Here we go.
Now we're going to have a couple cars at one time battling for position. The first that you will see is Juan Pablo Montoya, and then right behind it's going to be Max Chilton. So it's a battle of the pit crews right now, and of course Max Chilton has been working very hard on his restarts. Wow, nice quick stop as we swing back to see the board finish. A 7-second stop for Max Chilton.
We saw Dixon already go by. We knew that wasn't going to be a challenge. Montoya rolling back, Chilton, Munoz in his pit stall there. In the HH Greg colors this weekend.
And as all this is cycled, Hinchcliffe is yet to pit. Pagenaud now is in second. Sato and Cash Castro Neves, who did that splash under yellow and went completely alternate strategy, as we see these two guys come out of the pits here and race each other. But right now, Castro Neves is on the most alternate strategy and is currently went from last up to 4th on this exchange.
And as Jan Beek has pointed out, it's about 30 seconds to do a green flag pit stop in terms of the time lost on track. The gap between Pagano and Power right now, 30 seconds. So that will be very close when Pagano decides to hit pit lane.
Will Power pushing hard. He wants to close that gap to Ryan Hunter-Reay, who's in front of him, and get by him. It's going to be critical that this guy right here, that he gets in front of him. We've got 2 races to go, and every point counts for Will Power. Stays out again, yep. He's going for another lap. Him and Hinchcliffe, as we see Sato comes in.
So they're going to pit this lap. Pagano just did a 25-0 to Will Power's 26-8. So by staying out, Pagano is making great ground on his championship rival.
Sato from 4th to his pit stall, Robin.
You know what, Kevin? Sato said this car is really good right now. He's taking sticker blacks. He still doesn't understand why he was penalized and told to let Charlie Kimball go by. He said, I don't get it. We were just racing hard. But this has been his best showing in a long time. He's spent a lot of time on the wrecker hook here in the last couple of weeks.
Sato coming back out. As Munoz and others flying by him. Bourdais.
Bourdais has a run on Munoz. He's going to be forced to go to the outside and inside, over under. Didn't know which way Munoz was going to go, but it's going to be tight to thread the needle here. He slides through. Munoz gives up the position as Spencer Piggott now looks for a way by. So this is going to be the key lap for Pagano and Hinchcliffe. They have stayed out longer than anybody else, and they are pitting one more corner, and we'll see Pagano dive for the pits right here with Hinchcliffe right in front of him.
Look at all that clean air he's had in front of him that whole lap. Meanwhile, Will Power's back, stuck in traffic. Needs a good pit stop, but it's going to be close when he comes out.
And interesting for Simon Pagano, he's getting talked in by Kyle Moyer. They're going to go with scrubbed blacks here. So this is not what you would think. I thought he might go with red. Let's get up to Katie.
And a frustrating weekend is quickly taking a turn for James Hinchcliffe as he pits from the lead and goes to Firestone Blacks and fills it out with Sunoco fuel.
So let's watch screen right. Will Power is Pagano. Right behind Hinchcliffe, comes back out.
Not even close.
He's long gone. He's pulled a huge gap, and in that couple of laps of staying out, he's probably pulled a 5-second advantage on him.
You were advocating coming in early to protect against the yellow.
Look what happened last time. So
there's no easy way to call it. It can go either way.
And that's the reason why the people calling strategy are willing to gamble, because the benefit is there if you can stay out and don't get a yellow.
He's got 10 cars now in front of himself and Will Power on that exchange, which is huge for the points.
Well, now the gap would open up to 40 points, Pagano over Power in the championship as they run right now. Castroneves, the leader, but he'll have to pit soon. We think around lap 38. Remember, he topped off at the last yellow.
Kanaan behind him, but he had issues and is a couple of laps down now. So for the moment, Helio Castroneves, soon to pit, is in front. Back at Watkins Glen, thanks for joining us today on NBCSN. While we were away, Helio Castroneves did dip off to pit road, but he has cycled back to 6th, right behind the championship leader, Simon Pagano. Scott Dixon still leads, up by 14 seconds. Just a moment ago, this happened.
This is Connor Daly trying to defend on Sebastian Bourdais. Pardon moi, monsieur, but I'm taking the corner right here. I need a result. As Bourdais gets airborne. Looked like Surfer's Paradise, PT.
Certainly did. Look at this on car. He comes sliding down the inside, hits the curb, front wheels off the ground, goes for the grass, big air. He's lucky he didn't come out and get into the side of Rossi, and then Piggott jumps the curb and tries to square up Bourdais to get around, but that's a lucky break there. No damage that the wings didn't break off or anything like that. As we go back on board with Power, who's now a long way behind his teammate. He's in 14th, and his teammate is in 5th, looking at a podium now.
Charlie Kimball is taking a look at Will Power as they head down towards the boots.
So now, with Power having pitted on lap 29, he really doesn't have an option to try to short fill to make it to the end and make it up on pace. So Pagenaud really benefited by all that clean air and making quick lap times. Meanwhile, Scott Dixon, I mean, continues to just dominate. He's lapping Paul at half a second to a second quicker than anybody else in this race at will.
He's had such a hard run of luck the last half a dozen races of just everything has gone the wrong way. They've made bad decisions. He's made a couple mistakes as well, but here comes Montoya and Newgarden that's come from the back of the field. But Dixon has had such a rough break, and his wife said to us yesterday, he says that he's just so desperate for a win to get the monkey off of his back.
Dixon is still the champion, trying to repeat, a 4-time champion. His next win, by the way, will be
Will Power.
Big one.
Like I said earlier, when you're in the danger zone with these guys in the back, they do not give you any room, and that car is destroyed, and that's the end of the day, and it might be the end of the championship for him.
That was coming out of the S's, where all of the dicing has been going on as people have runs. They're on push to pass. Look at the debris. This will take a while to clean up.
And this will reset the order in terms of putting everybody back on the same strategy. This will be a long yellow, so everybody will pit. And let's see a replay here of what happened. He gets a run on, Charlie gets a run on him, and he just squeezed him over. And I don't know, we got to see the other views of that, but Charlie's got the run here. He's coming, he's coming. He goes for the outside, and Will just squeezes him out of room, and they make contact. So
I'm not sure there was room for Charlie to begin with. He was over the white line, and the track narrows up driver's left. And I'm sure Charlie was expecting that Power would just defend driving up the inside like most people have.
Huge damage to that car as we got one more view of this, but this is what I said in the beginning of the show. When you get back with these guys that are desperate for a win, we watch this again. Charlie has got a run.
Huge run.
He comes up the outside, and you know, Will was just taking the normal racing line. There wasn't a lot of room out there for Charlie, but Charlie was committed, and Charlie is a guy that doesn't lift off. We've seen this. Once he's going, he's going to go, and they make contact.
Well, he had such a good run, Kimball did, going, that he had to commit to his move before they were out of the final apex, so his only option was to go to the outside, or else he would have to lift, and he would have lost the momentum. I'm not sure Power would have known he was there. As you said, that would be the normal line exiting the S's.
Well, I don't know. I think you always know who you're racing, and you got to have eyes in the back of your head all the time. They're one of the few teams that have spotters right above us that can see all the way down to the chicane. So this is devastating for his championship.
By the way, Tony Kanaan just ran the fastest lap not long ago, and he got 1 lap back earlier. He's still 1 lap down. He was one of the fast cars early. The fastest has been Dixon by far.
This is a big benefit for Montoya, so now it legitimately gets him back on strategy with the leader, and he can get a podium, which he desperately needs because he's trying to secure a ride for next year.
Jan?
As you can see, the pits are yet to open, but when they do open, we expect to see all the leaders, everyone come onto pit road, because this scenario now, if you stop here and you save some fuel, you can make it home. So the big concern for someone like Scott Dixon and all, you see all the crews lined up, waiting to make their pit stops next time around or when they open the pits. The big issue, remember the contact that has happened this year on pit road. If you're someone like Scott Dixon, he is not pitted at pit out. He is pitted near pit in. So when they go to send him, remember the contact we've had this year, they have to be ultra careful when they send him, because cars will still be peeling into pit road when he's done.
They have to be ultra careful, but the temptation on pit road is to send regardless, because the positions are so valuable under those full course cautions. So
and it'll be interesting to see from here out the rest of the race. Pagenaud was on a big charge forward to score a podium. His championship rival, Townsend, is out of the race. Does he play it cool, or does he continue to charge forward?
I think he's been in this position because he's been aggressive all year long. I guess the exception would be Texas, where he backed out of that 4-wide situation. But I think Pagenaud knows he has a good car, one of the fastest teams on pit lane. And if he has a clean pit stop, I don't think there's any reason why he won't challenge to push forward. I don't think he has the pace to catch Dixon.
Pits will be open coming up in about a half a lap, we believe. Well, coming up on Thursday at 7:30 Eastern, 6:30 Central, the Carolina Panthers take on the world champion Denver Broncos in a rematch of Super Bowl 50. Then next Sunday, Sunday Night Football is football night as the Patriots take on the Cardinals. NFL kickoff weekend begins Thursday night only on NBC. So the drama continues from Watkins Glen. The championship has opened up. What will Simon Pagenaud do? How hard is he going to push? Meanwhile, you can be a part of Honda's fastest seat in sports sweepstakes. Just go to racewithhonda.com to sign up. Enter for your chance to lead the start of a Verizon IndyCar Series race in the Honda 2-seater driven by Mario Andretti. I took the ride on Friday with Mario. This is the place to do it.
Well, on board here with Hinch, he was really upset yesterday, put to the back of the field with a penalty in qualifying. Felt he should have been in the top 6. He's got a busy schedule the next couple of weeks. He's got Dancing with the Stars, and this would be a great, after last weekend finishing second, looking at a chance for another podium finish.
Now we saw that little tussle around the bus stop with Bourdais, with Rossi, and Daly. It was under review, and Bourdais has been told to give up 1 position.
Why?
Maybe shortcutting the course?
Oh, come on. He was forced on.
Shortcutting the course? I don't know.
I guess giving up 1 position, we're told, for blocking. So I'm not sure how you're blocking when you're trying to go up the inside of Connor Daly.
See Montoya skidding the tires there. He's locking up the brakes, getting his brakes warm.
Maybe it wasn't that specific incident around the bus stop. It might have been happening earlier. All right, here we go. Might be the final pit stops of the race. Here they come, Jan.
And it's going to be frantic. You can see that Scott Dixon gasses it because only right there do they have to get down to the speed limit. I don't think it'll be an issue for Scott Dixon getting in, but will it be an issue for Scott Dixon on the way out? They're going to go with sticker blocks. They've saved one for him. See all the cars streaming by and cutting in front of him? They've got to be ultra careful, making sure it's clear. So far, so good. Katie?
James Hinchcliffe's lap times have been really consistent on these Firestone primary tires, so they're going to choose those for this last stint, fill it up with Sunoco fuel. Robin?
Josef Newgarden said no changes. The car's fine. He's got scuffed blacks. He comes into the pits running third. Almost a crash there between Hinchcliffe and somebody. And Juan Montoya is a huge loser in that exchange, gang.
And they all got beat out by Castroneves because he took that fuel and he did that little splash of fuel, and he had to put less gas in the tank, and that was the difference of now he's gone from basically he was last earlier to the lead legitimately.
And what a story that could be. We talk about those that haven't won this season. Well, Castroneves hasn't won in 2.5 years. Detroit in 2014. And the 3 team easily beats Dixon, who barely gets out in front of James Hinchcliffe. The race is on here at Watkins Glen. Josef Newgarden also barely beat out Juan Pablo Montoya. This is going to be an entertaining restart. Stay with us. Getting set to restart here at Watkins Glen with 19 to go. They're going to restart sooner than we expected. So back to bring that to you, Nana. Everyone did not pit, though. Munoz, Sato, and Andretti are out front.
But they'll certainly have to stop one more time. The question for these guys, Castroneves, Dixon, Hinch, etc., you've got 18 laps to go. You have to be pretty mindful of fuel consumption to go that distance.
And right here we have Kanaan, who's a lap down. with the effective leader. Kanaan is right here in front of Dixon. So will he try to hold him up on the restart, check him up? Mid-Ohio, Castro Neves and Dixon got into each other. They both disagree on what happened as Kanaan peels off and gets out of the way.
Here we go. Munoz out in front. Sato, Andretti.
He checked him up. I think Kanaan pulled into the pits and went slow. Dixon hung back, and that allowed the huge run for Dixon to get by Kanaan or get by Castro Neves on that restart.
Well, we've seen the Ganassi team work very well with teammates to help others out. Look at Sato here making a move to the outside of Munoz. What's going to happen? Munoz locks up.
Somebody's going off.
Nice save, Takuma Sato.
But Dixon gets another position up to third. He's really the effective leader because those in front of him are going to have to pit. We're not sure about those that just did pit. On board with Josef Newgarden running in seventh, looking up to Sato.
So Sato's going to be on a lighter fuel load. Marco Andretti and Munoz now battling it out. Dixon's trying to stay clean and get through these cars that have been slower all day. Here he goes.
He's making another move on Andretti. He's much quicker than Andretti, so he should be able to get by Munoz pretty easy and be back in control. He's been the dominant guy all weekend.
All these guys that didn't pit were really doing is, I don't know that they were realistically thinking about a win. They're just hoping everyone else has to pit and try to get the best finish that they can. The guys that did just pit are going to have to save a little bit to go 18 if it were to stay green the entire way. One yellow gets him home easily.
Here comes Dixon. He'll be on Munoz exiting turn one. Munoz has one push to pass left, and Scott Dixon has a run. Let's see here.
Oh, he's going to get him because Munoz was on the curb on the exit. He's on older tires now, so look, he's already got the move set up.
Wow,
going to the outside. Munoz has got to hold it tight there and not run him out of room like what happened with the crash before, but Dixon back to the lead with authority, clear sailing. Now watch this. As we see in the trees back here, Kanaan right there, soft pedaling, pulls into the pits, holds up Castro Neves, and then right here, Dixon laid back and got a big run and was by him before they even start finish. So good team tactics. The left hand knew exactly what the right hand was going to do. That was very slick teammate work with the Ganassi team.
And Jan, down in pit lane, are you hearing a lot of chatter about fuel savings? Because this will be a long stint to make it to the end for guys like Scott Dixon.
Absolutely. You see Scott Dixon, he would have used some fuel to get by those two cars, but now he's going to go to max fuel save in case he has to go to the end. You cannot stand on it and make it home. You have to do significant fuel savings. We know that Scott Dixon is good at that. Those cars right behind.
Run here, we need to see 3.6.
There you go, 3.6, that's 3.6 miles per gallon. That's what Mike Hall told him. That's a big number. That will get him home, and he will not be going all that fast, but he has clear air right now.
This is a good run now for Marco Andretti. This is the best he's run all year. He's up to second place. A lot of rumors now in the future of what's going to happen with him. Robin, what do you hear on him? He might be moving teams or switching up crews next year.
Well, Marshall Pruitt, who helps us out at Indy Lights, my partner at Racer, said he wrote a story that Marco might be going with Brian Herta next year and the Andretti team and let Brian Herta take over calling his race during the season, and I think that's what he needs. Marco definitely needs a change. You think there's anywhere else he could go, PT?
Well, I don't know if there's anywhere else he can go. The only other ride I could see him getting is maybe with Uber.
Ooh. Oh, man. Well, he's already signed up for at least a couple of years, and I know H.H. Gregg was adamant that they're involved with Marco Andretti's car next year with the Andretti Autosport. There are many other storylines as well. By the way, that incident that took Will Power out not long ago, where he made some contact with Charlie Kimball, that was reviewed. No action will be taken. On board with Simon Pagenaud, he is running 8th, and that's Juan Pablo Montoya, his teammate right behind him. How does Montoya approach this with his teammate, the championship leader, in front?
All these guys that pitted on lap 41 during that yellow are in the same situation as Scott Dixon. If Dixon needs 3.6 miles per gallon to make it to the end, so do all of these guys. Their benefit is they're running in traffic. It's easier to save fuel in the draft than it is up front.
Marco Andretti, that's him. You can see on the left of your screen that peeled out from second. So Munoz moves up to second. So Marco did not get the help that he was needing. He could still get a decent position. What he needs, though, is these drivers not to be able to make it no caution.
I think he came to pit lane to get out of his car and come up to the booth and find Paul Tracy. So we'll keep an eye out here.
I call it like I see it. As we see these guys battling the two Ganassi cars. They're going to race each other clean. Bourdais, who got a weird penalty, he's recovered, still running inside the top 10. But right now, it's clear sailing for Scott Dixon, Munoz, and Castro Neves, Hinchcliffe looking at a podium. You see Montoya now on the back of Pagenaud, teammates again. I'm sure he's been instructed, hey, be careful here.
And there's the fuel saves. You can hear it on the throttle. Pagenaud coasting into all these corners. Listen here now. Long coast phase, that's how you save the fuel. And I'm sure that Montoya is going to do the same thing back there. And like you said, Paul, he'll be told, do not challenge the 22.
Yeah, these guys are all fuel savings, but you know, the guy who's been in control so far this race is Dixon, and they said he was making way better fuel mileage. And that's indicative when you see Dixon, when your car handles really well, you make really good fuel mileage.
Well, we saw the difference in points now, 43 as they run, and Will Power could continue to lose positions. This just a few laps ago.
Big points hit for Power. He was really close in the points. We've got one more race to go. It's a double points race next week, so mathematically still in contention, but a big, big hill to climb.
Well, mathematically, the Castro Neves and Dixon tied with a 104-point deficit to Pagenaud, but like we talked about, Pagenaud and Power would have to not show up for the race for it to be mathematically possible. So what do you do, Paul, to get a guy to not show up on race day?
Well, I mean, anything can happen in days like this. Like I said at the beginning of the show, if you get back in the middle of the field with these guys that don't care about your championship, look what happened to Power. So that could happen next week. You know, you look what happened last year with Montoya, and Dixon stole the championship. So it's not over, but it's a big job for Power to pull this off now.
Well, it's already been pretty remarkable that Power has gotten back into the championship fight after missing the season opener. Maybe he can do something again in 2 weeks. Right now, Scott Dixon is in front. A little more than 10 laps to go at Watkins Glen, where Scott Dixon has dominated, but fuel saving could come into play. Simon Pagenaud, for the moment, has taken control of the championship. Will Power crashed out. Carlos Munoz was running second. We knew he would have to pit. He did come into pit. Also, Juan Pablo Montoya was on the same strategy as Dixon and the others up front. He came in for a splash.
But Scott Dixon has slowed way down. He was doing laps in the mid-124 range. He's now lapping at 126. Why? Everybody has to save fuel desperately if they can make it to the end without a final splash.
But still pulling away from the field, so he's still lapping at 3/4 of a second quicker than Castro Neves. He's had it under control all day. I don't see this being a problem for him. And even if he has to, he has the ability, if he wanted to right now, to just drive away from the field and open up a big enough gap, I think, to do a splash and go.
That's a good point. He would need about 30 seconds if it was full fuel, so maybe 25 or so. Jan Bikas, you've been monitoring the conversations on fuel savings. Are the drivers hitting their marks?
Some are and some are not. For example, Juan Pablo Montoya was not hitting the fuel number that he needed. They said that he was short. They've given Scott Dixon a big number, and you said he has slowed dramatically on the course, so we believe he's hitting them. But many, including Ryan Hunter-Reay, for example, who we heard on the radio, they're short right now.
And Castro Neves just did a 28, Hinch a 28, so everybody now realizes if there's no yellow, it's going to be really razor thin to make it.
We had cars at Mid-Ohio at the end of the race running out of fuel on the cool-down lap. And we're going to have a potential shakeup in the order as we see Sato get by Munoz. Guys could run out of fuel on the last lap, and the order could all shift.
Not these two guys, though. They are good to go, and they're purely driving for that one big result that both drivers really need to finish off the season. Tough season for Sato. Now you see Marco Andretti wanting to mix it up. These are teammates right here, but at this point, They don't care. I need something to happen to finish off the year.
And while they're racing for 15th, 16th, and 17th, if others can't finish, they could move up because those three have no issues with fuel. Same with Montoya right behind them. Dixon in charge. Looking for win number 40. He would pass Al Unser and move into fourth all-time. Only Michael, Mario, and AJ would have more wins than Scott Dixon if it holds. Now, meanwhile, as we see one of the AJ Foyt cars go by in Takuma Sato, the IndyCar family lost a very visible member, a very friendly face and voice that we've seen for many, many years on the pit road. Bob Barnhart has been a tire man, a crew member with AJ Foyt's team for many years, and also the father of Brian Barnhart, longtime IndyCar executive and the race director in race control. So all of us send out our heartfelt sympathies from NBC to Brian Barnhart's family for the passing of his father, Bob. So Sato leading that group on that strategy that has no issues, running in 5th, 15th, and Scott Dixon leading the race as he has almost the entire way. The yellow finally broke his way. He was in charge from the beginning. An early yellow after he had pitted gave him even more cushion on the other fast cars. Well, let's talk strategy with the guy in charge of the number 9, Jan.
And that would be Mike Hull. And Mike, we know you've been giving Scott big fuel numbers. Has he been meeting those?
We're doing okay. It's you know, it's great to race at Watkins Glen. Front end of the race, it's all about speed. Now it's all about using your perennial power. So we're just going to try to get to the end here. I know now Penske's guys just pushed Helio up to position 1, which means he's full rich, which means he can't make it. So we'll just see how this thing plays out here.
Aha, you see that not only do they know how much fuel they have, but they monitor the other teams. Cat and mouse going on down here.
Well, if they're looking at the, as we see the 22, if they...
He's putting.
Let's listen into radio conversation with the 22 team with Simon Pagenaud.
He's just coasting everywhere.
Send me a cross, send me the cross. 7-5, 7-5. 7-5, he sent me now? Are you kidding me? Yes, nobody's going to make it to the end right now. Nobody makes it to the end. Why don't we go hard? Because if we get a 4-lap yellow, we could make it to the end then.
Well, if you can't make it to the end,
how slow he's going in the corners now. Nobody even challenging because they're all on the same strategy. And you know, the Dixon crew is looking at everybody else saying, okay, we know for sure they're not going to make it. So if they come and splash, then we can afford to splash because he's got such a big lead already. But there will be somebody that tries to make it all the way and maybe steal this thing if Dixon takes the cautious route and takes a little 2 or 3 second splash.
they're circulating 5 seconds a lap off qualifying pace. And frankly, even race pace, Scott Dixon was able to do a high minute 22 in practice.
Chilton, both Ganassi cars here taking a run at Pagenaud. Pagenaud has to concede the position because he's driving to a fuel number. Now Charlie is on the back, so.
Well, and if the Ganassi boys can mix up Pagenaud here, look, he's saying let him go. If they can cause any issues for Pagenaud, it helps Scott Dixon get back into the mathematical frame of the championship.
As much fuel saving is going, they're still going faster than IndyCar lapped here back in 2010. Stay with us. Five to go in IndyCar's return to Watkins Glen International in upstate New York. With Paul Tracy, Townsend Bell, Jan Vikas, Katie Hargett, Robin Miller, I'm Kevin Lee. Thanks for joining us on a gorgeous day. Fantastic weekend at the Glen. Scott Dixon has led every single session all weekend. Started on the pole and back in the pack. We've got some racing with Josef Newgarden and Max Chilton and also Charlie Kimball.
We watch the cars circulate. Everybody here, we're talking about how slow they're going to make it to the end of the race, saving fuel. But take in mind, they are still, Scott Dixon is still running 2 seconds a lap faster than the old previous lap record. So look, we're saying they're going slow, but they're still 2 seconds a lap faster than the old lap record.
Not these two guys, though. Marco Andretti, Carlos Munoz, Takuma Sato, all full rich, full charge, hammer down. They know that if the front runners can't make it to the end, they'll be sitting pretty. But with the battle up front, it's kind of a bizarre battle. It's how do I be the slowest fast guy or the fastest slow guy, however you want to look at it.
Just like the Indy 500 that Rossi won, he had to like go to a strategy and make the fuel mileage coast. Here's Rossi right here, racing with Pagenaud, with our championship leader. He had to race to a fuel number, and that netted him an Indy 500 win. So that's what Dixon is doing right now. He's racing to a fuel number.
And every position that Simon Pagenaud loses here as he's trying to limp home on fuel, it allows Scott Dixon and Castro Neves into that mathematical frame for the championship. There goes Bourdais past Rossi.
Now another twist in the championship. We saw the big hit that Will Power took a little while ago. We haven't been able to talk with him yet. One of the reasons is because he has been released from medical, but he has not yet been cleared to drive, pending further evaluation on concussion-like symptoms. So he very well may be cleared to drive, but not at this point. He's going to have to meet with the IndyCar medical staff again in the coming days to make sure that he is up to speed and ready to go in 2 weeks. Not racing next weekend. 2 weeks it's
He's got 2 weeks to recover. He had a big accident as we watch what happened here. A big spin, which could cause a yellow. And who is that? Montoya causing a spin. Everybody kept going, so no yellow comes out for that, which a lot of guys would like to have come out. But we talk about Power. He missed the first race because of concussion-like symptoms. He had a huge crash at St. Pete, had a 2 or 3. Oh, Helio comes into the pit, so he can't make it.
Wow, that is huge. How is anybody else going to make it if Castroneves stops with 3 to go?
I'm betting on Scott Dixon to make it.
He's asking for 2 seconds of fuel. That's all Roger Penske told him, and he could not believe they weren't going to make it. You could hear him screaming on the radio. Looks like about 2.5 seconds, and he's on his way.
A few other people also taking fuel. Charlie Kimball, Max Chilton, he had a close moment on the way in. Again, not here long, but boy, this kills their track position. Anybody who can stay out there and bring it home is going to obviously benefit.
You have to be so careful in this situation. If you come to pit road with your car stuttering, it's hard to refire as Munoz makes a move on Piggott. So you cannot let the car go into sputter mode. If it stalls on pit lane, it effectively gets like an air bubble in the system and takes a long time to refire.
Chilton and Kimball running in the top 5. They can't make it. Same with Castroneves. So it's Dixon, Hinchcliffe 14 seconds back, then Newgarden, Daly, and Castroneves.
Is it possible that Dixon could go 3 laps farther than Castroneves?
Well, right now he's got a 14-second lead. He's running 25.9s. Effectively, he probably could make a splash and go and still come out in the lead, but he stays out, 2 to go, and he's running 2 seconds a lap faster than anybody. Either he's Superman and can get that much better fuel mileage than everybody else, or they got a bigger tank in that car.
You hear Mike Hall say 2 more laps, so they must be confident he can make it to the end. Robin?
Josef Newgarden's been begging Ed Carpenter to let him go for it, so they finally turned him loose. So does that mean he's going to make it, or he's going to have to pit? I don't know, but he's pretty happy he's getting to gas it again.
Newgarden is 3rd, 3 seconds behind Hinchcliffe for 2nd. Jan?
Well, you talk about Scott Dixon. So listen to some radio there for Simon Pagenaud, but for Scott Dixon, you talk about if he's Superman. Remember, they had turned Castroneves up to a big fuel burn earlier, so he's not effectively going 3 laps more than Castroneves. He's been on fuel save the whole time, and I predict, knowing Scott Dixon, he's going to pull this one off. It's amazing, but again, the other guys, as soon as they knew they couldn't make it, they juiced it up.
You see Sato, he has got a splash of fuel. He's good to go on fuel, so he can charge. And don't be surprised if he makes a move on Pagenaud before the end of this lap. As we come back to Dixon, the man who has been in control the whole weekend, right now with a 17-second lead. It was 14 seconds a lead a lap ago.
And he'll get the white flag here as he comes through turn 11. And what an incredible job from Scott Dixon to just dominate.
Lap at this number.
On pace, full fuel, low fuel. That's Takuma Sato backwards. I believe that's the toe. That uphill turn 6 in the boot.
Dixon will be there soon, and he's going opposite direction to the track.
And he's doing it because he can't see the cars coming, so he wanted to, oh boy. Now it looks
now
like
he's in the middle of the track.
This might bring out a yellow.
And now he's going to roll back. I mean, you come around that corner, it is blind, so he gets it going. Dixon is not there yet, but that could have been disastrous. You come into that corner blind, and you got a car going backwards and forwards and spinning around. As we see Dixon now, he's only one corner away from where Sato was. And here's a battle for second place.
And Newgarden got it going into the bus stop. So Josef Newgarden with a great drive today.
Oh, look at the speed difference. He's going. He says, forget the fuel, I'm just going to charge.
Kimball on Rossi.
And right now, these are Chevys all pushing at the end here. The Hondas appear to be saving a lot more fuel mode. And Scott Dixon, 2 corners left. Let's call it 3, 2 lefts and a right. And that'll put the cherry on an awesome day.
Kimball got by to 8th position. Newgarden up to 2nd, but nobody has anything today for Scott Dixon, the master of fuel savings. He may not win the championship this year, but he wins for the 4th time in 7 tries at Watkins Glen. Scott Dixon is now a 40-time winner in IndyCar.
James Hinchcliffe out of fuel, and that will move Daly onto the podium, but Daly, I think, has run out of fuel. Castro Neves with the splash and go is now 3rd on the podium.
There comes Castro Neves for 3rd. Can Connor Daly hold on for 4th? Let's see.
Bourdais charging to the line right behind him. Daly cruises across the line out of fuel.
So Bourdais recovers for 5th. Hinchcliffe continues to fall further and further back. Kimball, Pagenaud, the championship leader, comes home in 7th. So his lead on Will Power is going to be 43 heading into the finale. Double points.
Talk about
with 104 on offer in 2 weeks at Sonoma.
I can see James Hinchcliffe shaking his head after the disappointment of losing last week and running now 2nd and losing and running out of fuel. 2 heartbreaking weekends. You see, he just wants to get out of the car. I'm done. Look, the wheel flies out of the car. He's over it.
2nd week in a row, that wheel goes flying out for very different reasons. Half a lap or so short for James Hinchcliffe. He will finish 18th. Scott Dixon wins by more than 16 seconds today.
And we see on the points now, that would eliminate Dixon at 106 behind Pagenaud. So that would mean it's a 2-horse race going to Sonoma. But this is at least some pretty good medicine to an otherwise pretty difficult season for Scott Dixon.
Long walk back for James Hinchcliffe. We'll see if he wants to walk the rest of the way or takes a ride. We're going to hear from the winner and others coming up. You're watching NBCSN's coverage of IndyCar, brought to you by Bobby Rahal Honda of State College. Visit us at BobbyRahalHonda.com for all your automotive needs in Pennsylvania. Yet another track Scott Dixon has mastered for the 4th time in 7 tries. Scott Dixon in victory lane with the wreath at Watkins Glen. No problem for him saving fuel. Others, like Simon Pagenaud, limped home. He had to get some help to get there. Others could not get all the way back around. Connor Daly made it far enough, though, to finish 4th today. Spencer Piggott right behind him as well. Target Chip Ganassi in victory lane, celebrating again. Win number 2 of the season for Scott Dixon, and Jan Beekes is down there.
Yes, getting the congratulations from team owner Chip Ganassi, and they've been talking about you being the miracle man. Today you had to save fuel, you were fast, a little bit of everything. That must just be so gratifying.
Yeah, I think this was actually a Chevy Bolt in the end. We had, we were running electric or something, but we got amazing fuel mileage. But I can't thank, all the fans here in the Glen area and everybody else, for coming out here today, especially on such short notice, and obviously the support from Verizon. They've been fantastic, with this series, and the support that they've shown us has been phenomenal. So a huge thank you to them as well. But look at this Team Target, man. This is so cool, so cool.
And finally, some luck went your way. You pitted, and right after you pitted, a car spun. Not only did you miss it, but that was the caution you needed to stay out front.
It was, it kind of, they roll either way, right? Like sometimes you're going to get them, sometimes you're not. But today, I think after it bit us pretty good in Toronto, it was a nice way to turn around. I want to mention one other thing too, is huge thanks, to everybody that's been giving to, the Justin Wilson Kids Fund. I'm actually going to donate my winnings here today to, their children's fund today. So I want to say hi to Jess, Jane, and everybody, and Jules and their parents as well. But please keep supporting them.
Wow, what a great testament. And the question they asked in the booth, how can Scott Dixon go 3 more laps than Castro Neves with the same power plant?
This car just, you could just roll through the corner. I felt like I hardly even had to downshift sometimes, but I can't thank Chevy, and Target enough. Everybody here this weekend, it's been almost a sweep this weekend, and you don't get these too often, especially with the competition level that we have in the Verizon IndyCar Series, and I will definitely remember this one.
All right, go and celebrate number 4 here at Watkins Glen. Robin?
All right, second place is pretty good after the weekend you've had, brother, but I heard you screaming on the radio, let me go for it with about 6 laps to go.
Well, there's a little discrepancy there with the timing standard of the driver. They give you a number to hit for fuel, and if you beat it a couple laps in a row, you think, okay, they're going to raise the number and give me more fuel, and they weren't giving me more fuel, so I was screaming at them. I was like, guys, I'm hitting this damn number, you give me more fuel now, and they finally gave it to me at the end. We were racing. We were kind of in a different race compared to Dixon. I think the right guy won it this weekend. There was really no stopping Scott. So congratulations to him, all of Chip Ganassi Racing. But for us, I think on ECR, second place, can't be too displeased with that. We've had a tough weekend. It's not been our smoothest. I think we came back really strong. We had a phenomenal race, great calls, great pit stops, and we got on the podium. So it's a pretty good day. Hopefully we're going to go to Sonoma now, get an even better result, and finish off the year right.
We want to show you the start of the race and get your impressions on what's going on here.
Yeah, look at that. It's 4 wide into 1. It's not going to work here. I just got caught out on the outside, so we lost a bunch of spots. That spot going into the bus stop, and then I lost more there, and we were kind of playing catch-up. But it worked out. We still got up to second, which is it was pretty good.
And the other thing is, guys are running out of fuel right and left, and you're going for it. It looked like Chevrolet is making great mileage.
Oh, Chevy's the best, man. You can't beat it. We had the power today. Obviously, Scott was putting that to the best use, but I think you can't match what Chevy's putting out. He gave us durability, power, and great fuel mileage, and that's what we asked from those guys. They always give it to us, and we put it to use today.
Thanks, kid. Katie?
And Elio Castroneves rounds out the podium in 3rd, but Elio had to pit there at the very end for a splash of fuel. What was it like those last few laps in fuel save mode?
Well, first of all, my Hitachi Chevy runs like the new Verizon LTE Advanced, nation's fastest 4G LTE network. It was really good. The car was actually running smooth, but unfortunately when I saw the numbers and the way they set up with our car, I don't think we would be able to save fuel. And I told those guys in the radio, guys, we better think in some other strategy because this is going to be tough to save fuel. And I'm glad they were able to pick up really quick. We bailed out right away. We're able to push as hard as we could, open up enough gaps. So in the end, I guess the 5 and the 18 end up running out of fuel. So great strategy from Roger and the Hitachi car. So now let's keep going. I know the championship I think might be over, but not over for Team Penske. So that's now we got to keep focused and going for Sonoma.
Okay, and Elio, this is supposed to be one of the most physical racetracks all season, but you don't even look like you broke a sweat. What's up with that?
I guess I'm good shape, man. Let me tell you. It's just like one, getting older, getting better. But let me tell you, it's just the car. The cars are so good. When you have a good car like this, you don't break a sweat.
Kevin, he's run here back in the day, but this is still his best finish.
In his 4th podium of the season, still looking for that first win in a couple of years, but another strong race, and here is how they finished up with Scott Dixon dominating.
Big drama today. Josef Newgarden with another great result, but Connor Daly, Bourdais recovered from a spin. Simon Pagenaud couldn't make those fuel numbers, ran out of fuel, but look at this guy, R.C. Enerson, 2nd race. He has yet to even have a spin, finishes up in 9th place.
Been very precise. He was in contention for a top 5 at Mid-Ohio, further back. Things didn't work out for Marco Andretti. Juan Pablo Montoya had that late spin, no contact, was able to continue. And then some guys that really would have wished things went differently. Will Power, Graham Rahal, big contact. Michaela Lotion had the tire failure, also big contact. All 3 walked away, but we'll have to wait and see on Will Power if he is permitted to drive at Sonoma.
Connor Daly was the biggest gainer, picking up 13 positions from where he started. We're going to hear from him in just a moment. Scott Dixon The dominant drive all weekend, a celebratory kiss with his wife Emma. More to come from the Glen. Celebration continues in victory lane for Scott Dixon, winning for the 4th time in 7 tries. His 40th career win today at Watkins Glen. We've heard from the podium finishers. Let's talk to the young man who finished 4th. Connor Daly is with Robin Miller.
All right, we're talking about how older guys save fuel and how younger guys are told to save fuel, but say, why do you, come on, I can make it. And you hell of a start, hell of a weekend after a tough start.
Well, thank you. First of all, I just want to thank Verizon for giving us this opportunity to race. You know, it's awesome to be part of the series, and got to check out their new advanced 4G LTE network because it's awesome. But yeah, man, I can't believe it, really. I didn't know where I was in the last couple laps. I was just trying to save fuel, save fuel, save fuel. But we were doing it, I guess, better than others. And then
better than most Hondas.
Yeah, which was weird. But I hit the number every lap, and just tried to work on flowing speed. And at the end, they were like, oh, code red. They're like, we have a real problem. So I don't know. It was close for sure.
So what do you do to save fuel when they're screaming at you?
You just do it. It's so hard. You just have to convince your brain to not use the throttle and just use no brake. You basically just coast as much as you can. And our car has been so good that I'm confident doing that. Like I'm confident going into the corner off both pedals and just coasting in because we've got grip and the balance has been good all weekend. Just had a lot of bad luck so far.
And you were told to coast up a hill at the end, which is tough.
Yeah, they said going into 8, like clutch and coast, code red, max, you're gonna run out of fuel. I was like, I didn't know what to do. I was like, all of a sudden, out of 7, I was like, 4th, 5th, 6th gear, and I was like, okay, I can't do this. This is horrible. Like Elliot went by me, and I was like, and then Hinch is slowing down, and it was just so surprising. I've never been in that situation before, but it worked out, I guess, this time.
Yes, it did. Good job, brother. Good weekend. Now we're going to Jan Beekes.
And with Simon Pagenaud, who the day started in an incredible fashion, the way that you attacked that first corner. You were back, and next thing we know, you're 3rd. Did the doors open up, or you decided to go for it?
Yeah, I had to go for it. I mean, we need to recover from qualifying, and there was an opening there, so I practiced a bit in the warm-up, and I knew where I could go and how deep I could brake, and it all worked out. And yeah, I even thought I could get wheeled there, but it was a good battle.
Definitely a battle royale in the beginning when you had speed and when you could use fuel, but then the complexion of the race changed later on. I know you and your engineer Ben Bretzman have been having quite a heated discussion here. We heard you on the radio. What is your beef at the end about not having fuel to use?
We always have beef. It's part of racing, but it's a good one. It's we challenge each other. They certainly challenged me really hard today. I had to save a lot of fuel to finish the last stint without pitting again. And the numbers they were asking was almost impossible. I guess, you know, we didn't start saving enough early, so then it became really difficult at the end. And I was yelling a bit on the radio saying, I cannot make these numbers, guys. But it worked out. We finished 7th. Overall, it was a great day for the championship. And yeah, that's what they do, I guess. That's why the engineers and get paid the big bucks.
Well, you've continued to razz him, and Ben, you kept saying, hey, you finished, all is good, but he wanted more fuel, he wanted to splash and go. Why did you not do it?
It's just one of those things. We were in that awkward position where we weren't up in the very front of the pack, but we were behind, you know, guys behind us, we knew we were going to splash. We were just trying to maintain that 5th to 7th range there. It's tough. You got guys behind you trying to go for it and then coming in and taking splashes, and it's hard on the driver to you know, understand who can I let go and who can I not let go, and who am I racing, who am I not racing. There's a lot of information, and race car drivers are race car drivers. They just want to go fast. So frustrations boil over sometimes when they're saving fuel, but it's all part of it.
Well, they boil over sometimes on pit road as well, because you were just saying, well, Ben, what do you want me to do, put up the white flag going to Sonoma?
No, that was a joke. He said we still have to race in Sonoma. I said, yeah, of course we have to race in Sonoma. That's what we're going to do. So, but it's a much more comfortable position to be in going into Sonoma now. You know, obviously you can't control the outside factors, but you know, I believe that was the point lead Montoya had last year. So that means we're going to finish 5th, and I think on these kind of tracks we're totally capable of doing that. So it's exciting. It's been a tough weekend. We didn't have as much pace as usual, so certainly finishing so well is really good. So thanks to the fans for coming as well. New track. It's pretty awesome. Thanks to Verizon. I got to plug that in because we get a little bonus, and that's nice to get a little bonus, right, Ben? We might share this later on.
All right, Simon Pagenaud obviously very loose and relaxed, knowing the championship could soon be his, Robin.
Sebastien Bourdais started the day with a spin, comes all the way back from last to 5th. Nice job.
Yeah, it was an interesting day, I guess. Yeah, I still
get squeezed?
No, not even. I just didn't use the push to pass. Oh yeah, I get touched. Yeah.
See, I told you.
No, I did. Okay. Thanks for the info, Kevin. Yeah. So well, I guess yeah, I get touched, but I get touched because obviously everybody's on the push to pass, and I had kind of stupidly, I guess, decided to not use it on the front straight and use it only on the back straight. Otherwise, in one star, you already have used 80% of your account. So it was a tough choice, but it proved pretty costly. So it is what it is. Obviously, we recovered very nicely. The car had pace, just had to be really, really careful with blisters all through the race. When I heard obviously Mikael just blowing up a left rear, I thought I was next in line because I was getting a vibration from another planet, and it was pretty nerve-wracking these last 2 laps. But I knew we were good on fuel. I wasn't sure about the tire situation, but I knew I was good on fuel.
All right, you get the altitude record for the race too. I don't know if you have a pilot's license. We're going to show you this.
Yeah, I don't know. It's.
Hello.
Yeah, well, I won't say anything there, but it's.
You back off to save somebody's life.
Yes. If I stay where I'm at, there's carnage coming around. So it's, But sometimes you have to think a little bit.
Early on, though, you didn't pit early. You stayed out and were running you were running the 2 or 3 fastest laps of the race, like 10 laps in.
Yeah, no, I mean, like I said, the car was good. The problem is, it seems like if I was running hard, I couldn't do more than 10 laps on tires. So that was going to be a problem, obviously. The first set of tires came back with blisters all over, and it was time to pit. But, I think we showed that the Hydroxycut DPS machine was awful quick all weekend, so it's the positive side. Now we got to find a way to make the tires last, because yeah, if you have to pit 4 or 5 laps before everybody, that's not going to be a good thing. But we're definitely making progress, and it's good to finish in the top 5.
All right, Sebastien Bourdais, 10 top 10s this year and a victory. That's pretty good for these old guys.
It certainly is. Thank you, Robin.
He said I was an old guy. He shoved me. He didn't mean to.
Here's how the championship looks with 1 to go. Double points at Sonoma in 2 weeks, so that means 100 plus 4 bonus points on offer. So Dixon and Castroneves are eliminated, because even if Pagenaud and Power don't show up, well, Pagenaud or Power would have the tiebreaker. So that's not going to happen. So it's between the top 2 and the rest of the field trying to make something of the final race of the season. And that final race, you still want to get out of there with another win.
For sure. I mean, all of the drama we saw today that included guys like Connor Daly, Montoya, Hunter Ray will be looking for a big finish. Rossi's going to push all the way at Sonoma, not so much for points, but for that one magic result to end the season.
Pictures and celebrations and the podium presentation. It continues here, and so do we from Watkins Glen.
Welcome back to Watkins Glen International. A great overhead view of turn number 1. We had a dramatic start to the race, and one of the drivers that was involved in that drama in turn number 1 was Jack Hawksworth, who made a big run up the inside, an aggressive run up the inside, but you said you were clean and didn't even realize all those cars were spinning around you.
Yeah, I didn't know anything about that. We obviously made a pretty good start. I got a run on guys ahead and went to the inside. I saw that you can make it 3 wide there, so it worked out quite well for me on the first lap, and we grabbed a few positions at that point.
And then you said the next time around into turn 1 it didn't go so well. What happened there?
I got a little bit loose right up behind the 19 car, and we lost a couple of positions, so that was a shame. I mean, the first lap was good, and then pretty much everything which could go wrong did go wrong after that. But yeah, it was a tricky day, and it was a shame because the ABC supply car was fast all weekend, but just unfortunately we didn't get it done, and there's many reasons for that.
You said that everything could go wrong, did go wrong, and that's kind of been unfortunately a theme for the Foyt team this year. What's necessary to turn this around? Because you show flashes of speed.
Yeah, no, the cars have been fast. I think engineering staff and the guys have, they've done a good job in terms of understanding the car many times. I mean, it's just I think it's just a case of working on the details and well, some of the fundamentals actually to take that step forward with consistency. And yeah, it's not for me to talk about, but certainly think the guys did a great job this weekend. Probably the most consistent weekend we've had from start to finish. And yeah, it was just a shame we couldn't put the race together.
All right, thank you, Jack. And of course, once you lose momentum, Robin, it's tough to get it back.
Speaking of momentum, Charlie Kimball, 6th place, nice run. Pretty adventuresome outing out there. And before we get your impression of your finish, let's look at the tangle with you and Will Power.
Yeah, I'd gotten a really good run through turn 1. Oh, this is Graham. Yeah, I gave him room there and no contact. I don't know. I'm up on the curb, so I don't know where I'm supposed to go there. I feel bad, but if he hadn't tried to run me further off the curb, I think I was setting up for the exit. I burned an overtake. Yeah, see, so I'm up alongside on the outside, and he just keeps running me off. It's like he didn't know I was there, because everybody else that I'd had to run up the hill through turn 4 had moved to the right to defend into the bus stop, which is where the defense move is. When I had guys come up and make the move on my left, I gave him room. So it's like he didn't know I was there. I know he's in a hunt for a championship, but you can't race anyone else differently. And the 83 crew for Novo Nordisk did a great job. And, man, it's great to be back at the Glen.
14th to 7th on the first lap, best start ever?
It was pretty quick. I mean, it's quick around here all the time. And, I got to thank all the fans for coming out. Thank Verizon for the access that they give all the fans through the app and the advanced LTE, the high speed with that as well. Everybody at Chip Ganassi Racing in pit lane. It was a pretty solid start. We settled in, and then I think maybe we saved a little too much fuel because we caught out by that yellow. So we were doing a good job making mileage, and then it went yellow, and that put us to the back. So it was kind of an upside-down day. But the guys at the end, they said, look, where we are, run hard. If we get yellow, we'll be lucky. If not, we'll splash for fuel. I'll take a 6th after that.
Sure. And the other thing is, after you guys tested, people said, oh, I'm not sure we're going to be able to pass. It's a video game. But there was a hell of a lot of passing out there.
Yeah, I tell you, what felt like a video game was when guys were saving fuel and we were running flat chat at the end. That last lap, I think I went by 3 guys, a couple of them out of fuel, but they were lifting so early that I was upshifting, passing them into corners. So the passing was good. The racing was great. And if it's fast around here, so you got to give each other a little more respect. It's a little like where the Grand Prix was today at Monza. Same thing when I raced there. It's really fast, but if you give guys respect, I remember a Formula 3 race, I think Alvaro Perenne and I swapped the lead like 6 times in 4 laps. You can do the same thing around here. It's just such an iconic road course.
Did you ask Scott Dixon what it is he's got?
I don't know, like experience? I don't know, Kiwiism, if that's a word, but honestly, Scott's been on it all weekend, sweeping every single session. As competitive as the Verizon IndyCar Series is these days, man, I don't know what he's doing, but we'll learn from it. We learned from it a lot this weekend. The car's been really good, and a lot of that's down to the work that he's done in years past here. So big congrats to Team Target, the 9 guys. They deserved that, especially after last week. I know that stung a lot.
All right, I think he's got a future in television after he quits racing. I hope he don't take my job, Kevin.
Thank you, Robin. Well, speaking to overtaking, there was a lot of passing throughout the field, but nothing up front. Scott Dixon dominated like we haven't seen in a long time. So coming off the 5th closest race ever, 8 thousandths of a second last Saturday night at Texas, today's 16.5 second margin of victory for Scott Dixon is the largest since Dixon beat Ryan Briscoe by nearly 30 seconds at Mid-Ohio in 2009. All right, let's revisit what Charlie Kimball was just talking about, and I'll bring in Paul Tracy and Townsend Bell again.
Well, I think he's exactly right. He made the outside move. Everybody protects to the inside, and I just don't think Will Power realized he was even there. He was staying on the racing normal line, and normally if you would know somebody had a run, you'd protect the inside, and Kimball went to the outside, and they touched, and he's in the wall. But the surprising thing to me is that, Townsend, it wasn't a very hard hit, really, and we're talking about concussion symptoms, and earlier in the year he had a really hard hit at St. Pete, and it was rumored he was out because of a concussion there. So these multiple concussions can cause you problems long term.
Yeah, but you're still talking about a steel Armco there. Those are steel I-beams going down deep into the ground, so there's no give. It's a lot like a concrete wall, and it's always a lot harder in the cockpit, I can tell you that much. It looks a lot less than what you feel.
An impressive day today for Scott Dixon, Josef Newgarden, Elio Castroneves on the podium as well. More stories coming up from Watkins Glen. Scott Dixon dominates the entire weekend in today's race at Watkins Glen and continues to move up the ranks. Truly a legend in our time. Scott Dixon with his 40th win, breaking a tie with Al Unser, and only Michael Andretti, Mario Andretti, and A.J. Foyt have won more than Scott Dixon. What a drive today. Down to Jan.
And with a future star, and that is 19-year-old R.C. Enerson, who, of course, had a masterful qualifying in 11th. Then the first lap, you go to 6th. How much fun was that?
Yeah, it was pretty crazy. Everybody just barreling into turn 1 like that. It was, I knew it was kind of going to happen because everybody's adrenaline's pumping. They're going into turn 1 for it all. But we were able to stay composed and watch everybody pretty much fly to the outside and took off, and we were able to come away with 6 in there. And then, yeah, it was a pretty good start.
Pit stop wise, unfortunately, you said you liked being in 6th, but then it was 1 lap away from catching that caution.
Yeah, we were getting ready to pit that lap, and we got caught out by that caution, which kind of sucks. But it is what it is. We ended up towards the back, so we kind of just had to fight our way back up from there.
But you did fight up to 9th, so great day, huh?
Yeah, the team called a good thing with the strategy, and we were able to save enough fuel towards the end that everybody had to start pitting for fuel, and we were able to leapfrog a lot of people and just barely make it to the end. We had to stop at the exit of turn 1, just barely had with enough fuel.
All right, R.C. Enerson, only his 2nd IndyCar start, and that was impressive. Katie?
Jan, I have been trying to track down Will Power since his incident on track, and we have found him here back at his bus, but he is inside being evaluated by doctors. IndyCar initially released a statement saying that Will had been cleared by medical, but he was being evaluated for concussion-like symptoms and not cleared to drive. We were not able to confirm that with Team Penske themselves, but we do know once again that drivers are inside Will Power's bus right now, talking to him and evaluating him to see just how he feels. So we will continue to keep tabs on Will Power and his health. Kevin?
Okay, IndyCar has always been ahead of the curve, on top of things with their evaluation process. So 2 weeks before race time in Sonoma, and Power the only one that has a chance to challenge Simon Pagenaud for the championship. Here is the scenario. If Pagenaud finishes last, Power has to finish 6th or better and get all the bonus points, or at least 3 bonus points. If Power wins with max bonus points, Pagenaud has to finish 4th or better.
Well, great day of racing here at Watkins Glen. Great of Watkins Glen to bring this event back as a replacement for the canceled Boston Grand Prix. Love coming here, Paul. I know we went to dinner last night. You weren't impressed with the cognac selection, but man, I love this place.
Yeah, great weekend for Scott Dixon here. It was exactly the shot in the arm he needed, so great day. Boy, the baseball team was here. Sad day for Hinch.
Stay with us here on NBCSN. NASCAR America Sunday is coming up next. Be sure to join us for the championship race in 2 weeks. The GoPro Grand Prix of Sonoma is on NBCSN Sunday, September 18th at 6:30 Eastern. For Paul Tracy, Townsend Bell, Jan Beekes, Katie Hargan, and Robin Miller, I'm Kevin Lee. Congratulations, Scott Dixon.